Chapter 2357. Demon Nineclouds' only choice was to pass the God-destroying tribulation. 100 years ago, the gap between her and Night Sorrow was huge. They were not on the same level. Demon Nineclouds was very clear about this gap. It was impossible to close it without passing the God-destroying tribulation. Otherwise, let alone defeating Night Sorrow, it would be difficult to even save his life. Even Demon Nineclouds had some doubts. Even if he passed the God-destroying tribulation, the result of the battle was still unknown. Perhaps he could only remain undefeated, or have some advantages. After all, from being crushed to surpassing, to being able to kill, it required a substantial improvement, and the combat strength needed was not just a little bit. There was no way out. Demon Nineclouds was very clear that this was because she had hidden well in the past 100 years. She had been in the space treasure, recovering from her injuries in the time acceleration, and did not walk in front of people. If she was caught by the people of the celestial realm, Night Sorrow would have already come. The relationship between the two was already irreconcilable. Thinking of this, Demon Nineclouds scolded Dark Feather in his heart. Dark Feather lived in the Night Moon Villa, and this was one of the main reasons why Night Sorrow was angry. This violated Night Sorrow's bottom line. Demon Nineclouds knew best what kind of person Night Sorrow was. Along the way, Night Sorrow was protecting. In order to protect his home, to protect his family, to protect the Nine Domains world. Dark Feather also lived in the Night Moon Villa. This was to challenge Night Sorrow's obsession. While thinking, Demon Nineclouds went deep into the vast wilderness. Every world had a vast wilderness, and there were rare and uninhabited places. Demon Nineclouds did this in order to make it impossible for the diviners of the celestial realm to find his location. After finding a more secluded place, Demon Nineclouds stopped flying, roughly surveyed the surroundings, and decided to rest here. After stabilizing his thoughts and emotions, he attacked the God-destroying tribulation. Coincidentally, when Demon Nineclouds was stabilizing his thoughts and accumulating momentum, the diviners of the Elders Association's star-plucking sect had divined. Sect Elder Star-plucking sect, look, that fellow's surroundings have changed. Lightning bolts are swimming all over his body. What is he cultivating? The divination master who had made the divination informed Sect Elder Star-plucking sect, who was meditating with his eyes closed. Over the years, the star-plucking sect elder would arrange for people to do divinations every once in a while. Although he knew that Demon Nineclouds had been hiding in the space treasure, the star-plucking sect elder did not give up on divining. Although he could not confirm Demon Nineclouds' current location, if Demon Nineclouds moved and appeared in the celestial realm, he would be discovered immediately. Seeing this scene, the star-plucking sect elder immediately called Elder Duan and Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao's original body was in the Nineclouds world, while her battle avatar was in the celestial realm, presiding over the Elders Association's normal operations. Destructive thunder, no. Reincarnation thunder. Emojuyun has accumulated a lot of it. She's accumulating power to break through the God-destroying calamity. Sect Elder Duan's face changed. He was sure of what Emojuyun was trying to do. Where is he? Lin Piaomiao was also a little anxious, because Demon Nineclouds' opponent was her husband. The situation in the celestial realm was dominated by her husband, Night Sorrow, and Demon Nineclouds. But now Demon Nineclouds had already gone to attack the God-destroying tribulation. Inform Night Sorrow. Tell Night Sorrow about this. Elder Duan said to Lin Piaomiao. Night Sorrow is not in the city in the sky. He left after informing me. Lin Piaomiao shook her head. Then break his spirit crystal. Elder Duan took out a spirit crystal, and was about to break it. Night Sorrow had left it for him to send messages. No. We must not disturb him. Lin Piaomiao reached out and stopped Elder Duan, who was about to break Night Sorrow's spirit crystal. We cannot disturb him? Are you saying? Elder Duan looked at Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao did not speak, but only nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow had decided not to be a teacher and left home. It was very likely that he was going to attack the God-destroying tribulation. It was definitely not a good choice to disturb Night Sorrow at this time. I understand. We almost delayed something important. Inform the people to go to Xingyue City. Whether he comes or not, We cannot let anything happen to Xingyue City. Night Sorrow is not here. We can only consider defending Xingyue City," the Grand Elder said. After making the decision, Lin Piaomiao sent someone to inform King Yiwu. As for Yi Tianxin and Heavenly Concubine, it was her who informed them. Because Yi Tianxin and Heavenly Concubine lived on a small island in the lake below the city in the sky. It was the place where Night Sorrow planted his herbs. Soon the higher-ups of the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm gathered in Xingyue City. Elder Zhaixing brought along a large group of fortune-tellers. They continuously divined Demon Nine Clouds. They wanted to know what Demon Nine Clouds was doing as soon as possible. The difference between her and Night Sorrow is huge. If she wants to defeat Night Sorrow and conquer the Celestial Realm, then the God-destroying tribulation is her only choice. I wonder how Night Sorrow is doing. King Yiwu shook his head as he looked at the fortune-teller's divination. I don't know. I don't know where he went either. Lin Piaomiao shook her head. As the two of them were talking, a blurry image appeared in front of a fortune-teller. The blurry image was surrounded by golden light. Then the image shook and disappeared. The fortune-teller also spat out a mouthful of blood. "You are the fortune-teller for Night Sorrow?" Elder Duan asked the fortune-teller. The fortune-teller's aura was a little weak. He nodded at Elder Duan. "That's the human emperor. That's the merit emperor. A long time ago, other people's fortune-telling skills were ineffective against him. He could sense it too. It's impossible to peek into his situation. Don't act on your own in the future." Elder Duan reprimanded. The fortune-teller bowed. He was a newly recruited fortune-teller. He didn't know or understand these things. "Elder Duan, why are you so angry?" Tran Hung appeared in front of everyone. "The city lord has come out of seclusion? Did it go well?" Elder Duan and the others looked at Tran Hung. "Although it was a huge risk, I survived. The seclusion for 100 years was worth it." Tran Hung nodded. He had sped up his cultivation in the spatial treasure. He had split his soul into two and strengthened it. Then he had merged his soul into one. This process took 5,000 years. It was about the same time as Demon Nine Clouds' recovery. This is very good. The city lord should take a look. Demon Nine Clouds seems to be in seclusion. He should be trying to break through the God-destroying tribulation. Elder Duan pointed at Demon Nine Clouds in the image. Tran Hung looked at the image and nodded. "Don't worry. With the Shura Empress and the Tree Supreme, it won't be easy for her to break through Starmoon City. Besides, she can't ignore my attacks. She shouldn't be able to focus on breaking through the city." After cultivating the heaven-defying art, Tran Hung, who was already very strong, became even stronger. At this moment, ripples appeared in the area where Demon Nine Clouds was. Then, the image was drowned out. #. Chapter 2358. Divination was against the heavens. This was why the Qing Emperor didn't want Night Sorrow to practice divination. It would hurt his luck and make his future cultivation difficult. Those who practiced divination were all cultivators who had exhausted their potential. Divination could see the secrets of the heavens, but there was a limit. The God-destroying trial was the most powerful trial in the world. Divination couldn't withstand its pressure and power, so it couldn't be divined. "Don't do it for now. We'll do it in 7 days, Yi Tianxin said. The Zhaixing clan elder nodded. He understood what Yi Tianxin meant. He wasn't the only one who understood. Everyone else understood as well. The results would be out in 7 days. At that time, whether or not Demon Nine Clouds had passed the God-destroying trial, they could do the divination. "Where's Night Sorrow?" Tran Hung looked around. Night Sorrow might have gone into seclusion to try for the God-destroying trial. "I don't know the details," Lin Piaomiao said. "Yiwu, Elder Duan, what's wrong with you two? Why didn't you stop him? He hasn't had enough time to settle down. It's too risky to try for him now. Also, whether or not he can pass the God-destroying trial is very important to the races of the Celestial Realm and the Nine Zones world. Even if the Celestial Realm is attacked and destroyed, we have to swallow it. We have to settle down." Hearing that Night Sorrow had gone into seclusion to try for the God-destroying trial, Tran Hung was a bit angry. He was angry that King Yiwu and Elder Duan didn't stop him. He was worried that Night Sorrow didn't have enough time to settle down. Every cultivator of the emperor's trial had to settle down for countless years, let alone try for the god-destroying trial. King Yawu and Elder Duan didn't say anything. They didn't know either. But whether they knew or not, they had to listen to Tran Heng's scolding. The four heroes from the previous reincarnation were led by Tran Heng. King Yawu, Elder Duan, and the former peerless sword emperor Yan Wushuang all listened to him. Master Tran Heng, please don't be angry. Martial uncle and sect Elder Duan just found out, said Lin Piaomiao. Tran Heng nodded and did not continue the topic. It was already a foregone conclusion that Knight Sorrow would go through the god-destroying tribulation. It was useless to pursue the matter now. Although they did not know if the Demon Nine Clouds would survive the god-destroying tribulation, the 100 races of the celestial realm were still making arrangements. Without Knight Sorrow, the only place that the 100 races of the celestial realm could guard was Starmoon City. Furthermore, in terms of importance, Starmoon City surpassed Heavenly Desolate City and Divine Capital City. With the help of the World Tree in terms of defense, the conditions for defense were also unique. Everyone was very quiet. It was a torture because the developments in the next few days would determine the future direction of the celestial realm. If the Demon Nine Clouds failed to survive the god-destroying tribulation, then everything would be over. The Demon Wing clan would no longer have the capital to act recklessly. Without the Demon Imperial City as a backing, Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian would be trampled on by Yi Tianxin, Tran Heng, and King Yawu. It could even be said that if the Demon Nine Clouds failed to survive the tribulation, Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian might not even dare to appear. However, if the Demon Nine Clouds succeeded, then the 100 races of the celestial realm would be in great danger. The masters and higher-ups of the 100 races of the celestial realm gathered in Starmoon City. They were all waiting for the results in 7 days. They were waiting to know if the Demon Nine Clouds would succeed or fail. However, Lin Piaomiao was not. She was worried about Knight Sorrow's situation. She felt that whether the Demon Nine Clouds could survive the tribulation was not the key. The key was whether the Knight Sorrow could succeed. If the Knight Sorrow succeeded, then even if the Demon Nine Clouds survived the god-destroying tribulation, it would be useless. He was defeated by the Knight Sorrow now, and he would be defeated in the future. Piaomiao, this is the mistake of the older generation. We should not have let the Knight Sorrow go through the god-destroying tribulation in such a hurry. We should have continued to consolidate. It is not important whether we can protect the rule of the celestial realm. It is not as important as the consolidation of the Knight Sorrow. In the past, the celestial realm has fallen into enemy hands. It is fine as long as we can take it back. It is not worth risking the future for a small piece of land. Tran Heng said to Lin Piaomiao when they arrived at the Yi family's mansion in Starmoon City. Thank you, Master Tran Heng, for your concern for the Knight Sorrow. Piaomiao understands what you said, and so does the Knight Sorrow. However, understanding and doing are two different things. Knight Sorrow cannot do it. Moreover, he has consolidated for 100 years. I believe in him, Lin Piaomiao said. Tran Heng nodded. He knew Knight Sorrow's character very well. In the past, 7 days would pass in the blink of an eye. However, these 7 days passed very slowly. As soon as the 7 days passed, the fortune teller started the divination. However, the divination was not successful. The image appeared for a moment and then shattered. One more time. Tran Heng called for another fortune teller. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. After the fortune teller divined again, Tran Heng nodded. Everyone, do not worry. It is the energy of the god-destroying tribulation that is interfering with the divination. This means that Demon Nine Clouds has not passed the god-destroying tribulation. After hearing Tran Heng's words, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone was very worried just now. If Demon Nine Clouds had fallen, the divination would have revealed it. If the divination did not reveal anything, it meant that there was a problem. After Tran Heng explained, everyone felt more at ease. The waiting and torment continued. In fact, Demon Nine Clouds had not passed the god-destroying tribulation yet. She had been adjusting her state of mind. Demon Nine Clouds had been accumulating her power. The god-destroying tribulation had appeared, but she had not triggered it. The tribulation had not descended yet. Demon Nine Clouds, who had passed the God-destroying tribulation once, knew how terrifying the God-destroying tribulation was. If she was not careful, she would lose everything. All her previous efforts and struggles would be for naught. If she succeeded, she would become an unprecedented divine emperor. She would be able to wield the heavenly Tao and control the cycle of reincarnation. Night Sorrow went to the wasteland and found a giant mountain peak. He sat down cross-legged at the top of the mountain. He knew that he could continue to stabilize and improve his strength, but he would not be able to improve much in a short period of time. Now was a dangerous time. If he allowed Demon Nine Clouds to pass the tribulation and attack first, he would die. This was the main reason why he had made this decision. After calming down, Night Sorrow began to circulate the energy in his body. He was very cautious. No matter if it was his body, true energy, or soul, they had all reached a peak. The God-destroying tribulation was coming. It was hard to say how strong it would be. The tribulation varied from person to person. After preparing for 3 days, Night Sorrow's body trembled. Golden light swirled around his body. 13 Sumeru world lines shot out to protect his body. Then he released his energy and triggered the God-destroying tribulation. Tribulation clouds appeared and covered the sky where Night Sorrow was. The sun had disappeared, leaving behind only a ball of pitch-black tribulation clouds with golden edges that were shrouded in sunlight. Night Sorrow stood up and pulled out one of the 2 weapons on his back, the Samsara halberd. Originally, Night Sorrow had 3 bodies and 3 weapons. However, the weapons of the 9 domain avatars had not been upgraded recently, so they were not very compatible. Now, Night Sorrow was using the Samsara halberd and the blood-chilling evil-slaying spear. The tribulation clouds kept rolling. The pressure caused everything in the world to calm down. Chapter 2359. As Night Sorrow murmured, the tribulation cloud in the sky began to change. It began to shrink. However, the smaller it was, the more Night Sorrow could feel the terrifying energy it contained. In a moment, the energy of the tribulation cloud shrank to a certain extent and turned into a human-shaped energy body. The energy body stretched out its left hand, and a bolt of lightning connected its palm to the sky. The lightning crackled and crackled. In its right hand was a long halberd that shone with black light. God-destroying tribulation body. Night Sorrow knew that this was the God-destroying tribulation. If he defeated this energy body, he would become a divine emperor realm cultivator. What was a god? A divine emperor realm cultivator was a god. He could control the way of heaven, control reincarnation, and dominate everything. Very calm, Night Sorrow held the Samsara halberd. He was not excited, not afraid, but calm. At this moment, Night Sorrow's state of mind could only be described as calm. The tribulation body took shape. It waved the halberd and charged toward Night Sorrow. At the same time, it attacked with the lightning in its left hand. Fight! Night Sorrow charged forward while waving the Samsara halberd. The Samsara halberd faced the tribulation body's weapon head-on. Night Sorrow knew that there was no shortcut to surviving the God-destroying tribulation. The tribulation body was formed by the energy of the tribulation. It would never disperse until it was defeated and destroyed. With a boom, Night Sorrow and the tribulation body separated. The tribulation body retreated a little, but Night Sorrow was also forced to retreat. Moreover, the lightning energy rushed into the tribulation body through the Samsara halberd. Night Sorrow's arm was numb. Powerful. Night Sorrow felt the power of the reincarnation body. He had been so proud of himself, and had not gained the upper hand in close combat. In addition, the energy that had entered his body was lightning with the reincarnation attribute. It was very destructive. Earlier, he had been using the primordial energy to protect himself. Now he had switched to the reincarnation attribute to neutralize this energy. While Yishang was thinking, the reincarnation body attacked again, directly attacking Yishang. Its attack was incomparably ferocious. Yishang's previous attack had not caused much damage to it. Night Sorrow waved the Samsara halberd and fought with the reincarnation in the air. In a battle of attrition, Night Sorrow's Thousand Realms barrier blocked the lightning attacks from the tribulation bodies. Then he clashed with the tribulation bodies again and again. After fighting for a while, Another wave of attacks headed toward Night Sorrow. A green lightning bolt shot out from the head of the reincarnation. The lightning bolt ignored Night Sorrow's Thousand Realms defense and headed straight for his head. It was a soul attack. At the critical moment, Night Sorrow activated the 9-domain origin bead. A purple halo appeared above his head. Then Night Sorrow used the soul extinguishing slash. The crescent blade of the soul extinguishing slash slashed at the lightning. Lightning attacks, close-range attacks, and soul attacks. The reincarnation body had no shortcomings. It attacked Night Sorrow violently. All of them were unique skills with extremely high damage. Damn it! Night Sorrow finally understood why the Divine Annihilation Tribulation was so deadly. The strength of the Tribulation body was too strong. Night Sorrow was very confident. He believed that he was the overlord below the Divine Emperor realm. Demon Nine Clouds was very strong. He had no problem killing ordinary Divine Soul Unison Realm experts. Even Divine Soul Unison Realm experts like Yi Tianxin and King Yawu couldn't stop him. After a long time, they would be crushed and killed. But what about him? He had already reached a stage where he could suppress and kill Mo Juyun. However, he could only barely block the attack of the reincarnation of the God-destroying tribulation. If other Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators were to come, they would be killed instantly. This tribulation was simply fatal. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox. At this time, Night Sorrow had used all his skills. He used the power of merit, the human Tao ceremony to protect his body, the human Emperor's seal to suppress the reincarnation body, the strength of his Tao domain to the highest level, the Thousand Realms defense to the maximum, and the soul extinguishing slash. No one knew or saw this battle. The intensity of the battle had far exceeded the battle between Night Sorrow and Demon Nine Clouds. The battle continued. In order to minimize the consumption, Night Sorrow quickly activated the leakless true body and used every bit of his energy on the blade. After fighting for an hour, Night Sorrow found a crucial problem. It was also a hope. The reincarnation body was being consumed. Although it was small, he found that the energy contained in the reincarnation body was decreasing. This was an opportunity. Night Sorrow, who had discovered this, no longer pursued high damage. He used the primordial destruction slash to melt and consume the energy of the reincarnation body. In order to minimize the damage, Night Sorrow and the reincarnation body fought around the peak that reached the sky. In fact, there was no peak. The peak had been flattened by the energy emitted by Night Sorrow and the reincarnation body. They were only in this area. %*update H at most I at most. Night Sorrow was at a disadvantage. However, he did not care. As long as he could consume the reincarnation body's energy, he could ensure that he would not be injured. After half a day, Night Sorrow's true energy had been depleted by 35%. However, the reincarnation body of the God-destroying tribulation still had 80%. Come on! Night Sorrow took out a dozen Emperor Spirit Stones and shattered them. Then he created a protective chi shield inside the Thousand Realms defense body. The protective chi shield wrapped around the energy and did not dissipate. Then he began to absorb the energy. The energy he used during the battle was converted from his true energy to his physical strength. The conversion of energy made Night Sorrow's situation even worse. He was being suppressed by the reincarnation bodies, and even Night Sorrow was being pushed into the ground, where he was continuously suppressed. Night Sorrow knew that he could not continue fighting. If he continued to fight, the ground of the Nine Regions world would be penetrated. He would be pushed into the chaotic streams of space. At that time, his situation would be worse than it was now. After all, in the Nine Regions world, he still had the support of the world origin. If he left the Nine Regions world, his fighting strength would decrease. After using the space-time realm and dodging the reincarnation body's halberd attack, Night Sorrow changed his position and flew towards the ground. Night Sorrow's tactic was to stabilize himself and recover his true energy. The battle was still going on. Night Sorrow's physical strength and true energy were constantly switching. He wanted to balance the consumption and replenishment. This was a good idea, but in reality, it was not working. His consumption was small, but it was still continuing. Calm down. Night Sorrow knew that he had to calm down. Descend. Suppress. Night Sorrow yelled and used the Merit Emperor's verbal law. Heavenly Tao energy appeared and descended. However, it did not suppress. This was because the reincarnation body of the God-destroying tribulation had surpassed Night Sorrow's intermediate Emperor Merit Emperor rank cultivation. This caused Night Sorrow's verbal law to fail. This method would not work. Night Sorrow could only endure and compete with the energy of the reincarnation body. Night Sorrow felt that unless the demon Nine Clouds' God-destroying tribulation was much weaker than his own tribulation, the demon Nine Clouds would not be able to endure. For days past, Night Sorrow's energy and true energy were left with 10%. However, the reincarnation body still had 20%. This meant that even if Night Sorrow's energy was used up, the reincarnation body could still fight and slash. Chapter 2360. Night Sorrow did some calculations. If he didn't go all out, he would only have 10% less energy than the tribulation energy body. He wouldn't be able to fight anymore, and the tribulation energy body would still have 10% of energy left. It could still kill him. Absorbing energy from spiritual stones and other types of energy, while fighting was too slow. Night Sorrow's protective shield was also filled with spiritual energy from spiritual stones, but the absorption speed couldn't keep up. He could only try to replenish his energy with the same origin as his flesh and blood to see if he could make it in time. Using the Wuji body tempering art was his only choice. The battle was still going on. Night Sorrow persisted, withstood, and continued to expend energy. After absorbing the energy from his left arm, Night Sorrow's remaining true chi was completely used up. His body's energy had recovered to less than 15%. The tribulation energy body also had 15% energy, which was equivalent to Night Sorrow's true chi. He had used up 5% of the tribulation energy body's energy. Continue. Night Sorrow gritted his teeth and broke his left leg. He continued to absorb energy and fight. Night Sorrow's protective shield was filled with golden red energy. It was the energy of his flesh and blood. Brothers and sisters of various platforms, the end of this book is in the first chapter of the new book, Redbud Token. If you haven't seen it yet, please search for Cool Craftsman, Redbud Token. Group number 1957826-1. It was extremely tragic. When Night Sorrow's legs and left hand were consumed by the Wuji body tempering art, the tribulation energy body was also officially exhausted. Night Sorrow used the Samsara halberd to disperse it. When the tribulation energy body dispersed, Night Sorrow's body shone with golden light. The surrounding void also shone brightly. Auspicious clouds appeared in the sky, and then they all gathered towards Night Sorrow's body. After surviving the God-destroying tribulation, Night Sorrow understood that he was no longer a cultivator of the tribulation of 9 emperors. He was no longer a divine soul unity realm cultivator. He had a different feeling. He could control everything and destroy everything. He was already a divine emperor. Golden light entered his body, and the energy of heaven and earth entered his body. Night Sorrow felt that he was everything in the world. Floating in the void, Night Sorrow began to regenerate his broken limbs. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Night Sorrow's body contained a great amount of energy. It wasn't easy to regenerate his broken limbs. It would take time. Demon Nine Clouds also began her tribulation. Everyone was shocked. Something must have happened to the diviner. Something must have happened to the diviner. She succeeded. Divine emperors are gods. Gods can't be blasphemed. Divining divine emperors and peeping on divine emperors will have to pay the price. Yi Tianxin murmured. She had come to a conclusion. Let's defend. Tran Hung sighed. They didn't want to see this result. But since it had happened, they could only accept it. Lin Piaomiao, Datura, and the others were even more depressed. Night Sorrow had to take care of everything. Is there any news about Night Sorrow? Yi Tianxin asked Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao shook her head. No one had any news about Night Sorrow. They could only wait. After Emojiuyun passed the God-destroying tribulation, no one could stop him anymore. In the past, only Yi Shang could suppress Emojiuyun before he passed the God-destroying tribulation. Now no one could touch him. Time slowly slipped away. Yishang's legs slowly recovered and became solid bit by bit. Soon, Night Sorrow's face was filled with joy. He could go home after his arms recovered. He didn't want to go home with a crippled body. He didn't want his family to worry about him. As for the recovery, Night Sorrow felt that it would be fast. He was the world lord of the 9-domain world. His speed of absorbing energy was very fast. Demon Nine Clouds' injuries were much lighter than Night Sorrow's. He only needed to recuperate for a while. He didn't need to stabilize his realm. When Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian saw Demon Nine Clouds, they immediately prostrated themselves on the ground. The halo around Demon Nine Clouds' body gave them a lot of pressure. Get up. Our demon-winged race has been attacking the celestial realm for 1,000 reincarnations. A whole 1,000 reincarnations. This reincarnation will end. Celestial realm and supreme world belong to our demon-winged race. Demon Nine Clouds said. Congratulations, Lord. You've become an unprecedented divine emperor. Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian bowed to Demon Nine Clouds again. Let's go. We'll take down Tianhuang City and open up the passage. We'll set up the teleportation array in Demon Imperial City. Then we'll take care of Xingyue City. This time, we'll kill them all in one fell swoop. We'll send our army to crush the Celestial Realm's elites. Demon Nine Clouds said to Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian. Then, the three of them left the Celestial Realm and flew towards Tianhuang City. This time, the three of them were swaggering. They were discovered by the people of the God Devil Castle and reported to Xingyue City. Sect Elder Lin give the order. Leave some low-level cultivators' clones in Tianhuang City and Chengdu City. Leave all your original bodies. Tran Heng said to Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao nodded. She understood that if they couldn't stop Demon Nine Clouds, the Celestial Realm's 100 tribes would have to go from being proactive to passive. They would have to enter a defensive phase to preserve their strength. Demon Nine Clouds and the other two arrived at Tianhuang City. This city has withstood countless of our attacks. It'll be our fortress in the future. There's no need to destroy it. Our demon-winged race needs it too. If it's badly damaged, we'll have to rebuild it. It'll delay our development. Demon Nine Clouds said to Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian as they flew over Tianhuang City. It was easy to set up the teleportation array. Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian then mobilized the troops of the 100 Kings tribe of the demon-winged race. The demon-winged race had lost many experts in the celestial realm. However, that was only a portion of the demon-winged race. In 2 days, the demon-winged race's troops were all assembled. Standing in the air, Demon Nine Clouds waved his arm and gave the order to set off. The demon-winged race's army didn't launch a large-scale attack. Instead, they went straight to Xingyue City. Demon Nine Clouds wanted to start a decisive battle. He wanted to deal with the upper echelons of the 100 tribes of the celestial realm. They're here. We'll have to trouble Lord Tian Xian to control the array. We'll cooperate with the defense. Tran Heng said to Yi Tianxin. Yi Tianxin nodded. He then clasped his hands together and cupped them towards the void of Xingyue City. Lord Supreme Tree, we need your help. Green branches appeared. One of them rested on Yi Tianxin's shoulder. Then the tree spirit appeared. Night Sorrow isn't here? No, he's probably in closed-door cultivation. Yi Tianxin said. Then let's defend. I don't know how powerful a divine emperor is. Let's try it together. Tree Spirit said. Night Sorrow, you won't have the chance to delay this time. There's no need to run from each other. Demon Nine Clouds shouted toward Xingyue City. Chapter 2361. There's no point in talking so much. If you don't show up, then what do you mean by hiding? Demon Nine Clouds looked at Lin Piaomiao and said, You've changed. You do things unscrupulously and even speak against your heart. Our friendship is a thing of the past, Jun Xuanji, who was standing behind Lin Piaomiao, said. Yes, it's a thing of the past. Zhu Nine Clouds is just a part of my eternal life, a small memory, Demon Nine Clouds said. No one spoke anymore. It was a meaningless battle of words. Demon Nine Clouds was already unscrupulous. No matter what they said, it was useless. Demon Nine Clouds waved his halberd, and a halberd light flew towards the defensive array of Star Moon City. Yi Tianxin stretched out his right arm and sent out the Azura sword chi that was strengthened by the array. However, the effect this time was completely different from the previous time. Boom. After Demon Nine Clouds' halberd broke Yi Tianxin's sword chi, the halberd light landed on the defensive array of the city, causing the entire city to tremble. Cracks even appeared on the ground of Star Moon City. The attack of a divine emperor was incomparably powerful. Just one attack was enough to shake Star Moon City. A part of the energy flowed through the ground and hit the teleportation array. Knight Sorrow, who was originally sitting cross-legged, opened his eyes. He shook his newly recovered left arm and raised his head to look at the void. Is the war coming? Knight Sorrow had recognized the teleportation crystal of Star Moon City as its master. Therefore, he could feel it when it received an intense energy impact. Looking at his left hand that was only missing a nail, Knight Sorrow smiled. Fortunately, I've completed the condensation. I don't need to be crippled. Knight Sorrow's body turned faint. Then he appeared a million miles away. After a few flashes, he returned to the city in the sky. Without saying anything, Knight Sorrow entered the teleportation array and started the teleportation. Your father is back. Let's go. When Lin Piaomiao's true body detected Knight Sorrow's figure, she called out to her family. If Knight Sorrow appeared at this moment, it meant that he had successfully passed the tribulation. She was extremely happy. Mo Jiuyun began his frenzied assault on the defensive array of Star Moon City. Even with the support of the World Tree, the defensive array was still in a precarious situation. The energy of the World Tree was massive, but the quality of the energy was different. Once again, Mo Jiuyun was attacking a single point. One more time. Break for me. Mo Tianji's body danced as she waved her halberd again. With this strike, Demon Nine Clouds' Great Desolate War halberd broke through the defensive grand array, blasting a hole in it. She flew in and slashed her Great Desolate War halberd towards Yi Tianxin's head. She wanted to kill Yi Tianxin, who was controlling the array formation. Unable to move, Yi Tianxin was suppressed by Demon Nine Clouds' divine domain. She couldn't move even if she wanted to. She could only watch as the Great Desolate War halberd flew towards her head. Yi Tianxin closed her eyes. She had no regrets. She had no choice but to die at the hands of the God King. She had also done her best for the 100 races of the celestial realm. However, there was no sound of the halberd entering her body. Yi Tianxin felt that something was wrong and opened her eyes. In front of Yi Tianxin's eyes was a white hand. It was just that there were no fingernails. The hand was holding the halberd steadily. Knight Sorrow had appeared. The moment he appeared, Yi Tianxin was in danger. This moment was fixed. Demon Nine Clouds' body was in the air. The Great Desolate War halberd flew out, but the tip was in Knight Sorrow's left hand. Break. Demon Nine Clouds' right arm trembled as he continued to stab. But in fact, it was as if Demon Nine Clouds hadn't used any strength. The Great Desolate War halberd was still firmly in Knight Sorrow's hand. At this moment, the Samsara halberd in Knight Sorrow's right arm moved. It was swung towards Demon Nine Clouds. Demon Nine Clouds' body pressed down to avoid Knight Sorrow's attack. At the same time, he pulled out the Great Desolate War halberd. With a crisp sound, the Great Desolate War halberd broke. The tip was in Knight Sorrow's left hand. Demon Nine Clouds lifted the Great Desolate War halberd that was missing its tip. He broke through the defensive array and retreated into the air. Be careful. She's a God King. Yi Tianxin said as he looked at Knight Sorrow, who didn't chase after him. God King. I'm also a God King. Her God King title seems a bit fake. Knight Sorrow said as he raised his left hand. The tip of the Great Desolate War halberd in his hand shattered, and then turned into nothingness. Knight Sorrow, you also succeeded? Demon Nine Clouds' eyes were filled with shock. She felt that she would be invincible after entering the God King realm. But Knight Sorrow appeared. He was much stronger than her. They were both God Kings, but their levels were different. If you can succeed, why can't I? Aren't you being too shady now? Knight Sorrow looked at Demon Nine Clouds and shook his head. He had already given up on saving Demon Nine Clouds. Because the former Demon Nine Clouds had disappeared after the fusion. That bit of emotion had been assimilated by Demon Nine Clouds. She's a shameless villain now. She said you were running away. Jun Xuanji shouted angrily. Running away. I, Night Sorrow, am an indomitable spirit. When have I ever run away from a problem? Demon Nine Clouds. Why do you have to pour dirty water on others? Night Sorrow smiled. Then let's fight. Demon Nine Clouds knew that the situation was not good. It was not that she did not work hard, but Night Sorrow had risen too quickly. She did not give Night Sorrow any time. You lost. I'll give you a chance to reincarnate. You can reincarnate yourself. Night Sorrow looked at Demon Nine Clouds and said, Reincarnate. I'm a God King. I've surpassed life and death. I'm eternal. Why should I reincarnate? Demon Nine Clouds was angry. Night Sorrow said that she had lost without fighting. This meant that Night Sorrow was confident and did not treat her as an opponent on the same level. If your heart is righteous, I'll give you eternal life. But your bones are filled with aggression, so you must reincarnate. I'll purify you. Maybe in the future, you'll be Zhu Nine Clouds. Demon Nine Clouds will definitely fall. Night Sorrow shook his head. Kill. Demon Nine Clouds was angry. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, she felt that she was very inferior. She was also a God King. Why should Night Sorrow decide her fate? She refused to accept it. At this time, Night Sorrow stretched out his left hand. A golden energy hand appeared in the air and slapped Demon Nine Clouds. Demon Nine Clouds was slapped to the ground. Then Night Sorrow's body grew. He stretched out his left hand and grabbed the heavily injured Zhu Nine Clouds. You're a God King. But I, Night Sorrow, am the virtuous God King. I'm an immortal God King. It's not the same. This is fate. After saying that, Night Sorrow clenched his left hand. Demon Nine Clouds' body turned into ashes. Only her soul was left. However, she was still in Night Sorrow's control. You're ruthless. I won't let you go. Demon Nine Clouds' soul was still struggling. You don't have a chance. I've said it before. Demon Nine Clouds must fall. I hope that one day, I'll see Zhu Nine Clouds, not you. Yi Shang placed the reincarnation halberd on his back, and then touched Mo Tianji's soul in his left hand. He opened the void and shattered Mo Juyun's soul into pieces before releasing them into the void. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It's time to end this. With a wave of his left hand, Yi Shang tore through the void. With a wave of his sleeve, the Devil Wing race army that was still frozen in the air and unable to leave was turned to dust. Their soul fragments were sent into the chaotic streams of the void by Yi Shang. Is this what it means to wield the heavenly Tao and control reincarnation? If you have any questions, you can find me in the Nine Regions world. Night Sorrow muttered to himself as he shook his head. After giving some instructions, he left. He didn't want to care about the rest of the matters. He didn't need to care about them. In March, the peach blossoms bloomed. There were banquets everywhere in the city and the sky. It was Night Sorrow's God King celebration. The Yi family was greeting the guests. Night Sorrow was chatting with his parents, Old Man Gu, Tranheng, King Yewu, Yi Tianxin, Heavenly Concubine, Wu Lingfei, and other elders. Aunt Fei, you can stay in the city and the sky from now on. Night Sorrow invited her. Sure. With the guidance of a God King like you, I can make progress quickly. Wu Lingfei nodded with a smile. Night Sorrow, Sect Elder Duan will come later. He has some matters to deal with. He asked Martial Uncle to send his congratulations first. By the way, what does it mean to wield the heavenly Tao and control reincarnation? King Yewu asked. I don't know the specifics. I can decide some things and change some rules. Take Martial Uncle for example. If Martial Uncle reaches the end of his lifespan, I can change that. Maybe that's what it means to wield reincarnation. Night Sorrow said. Is it good to go against the heavens? Tranheng asked. It's not very good, but everyone I know has karma with me. It's not a big problem, so don't worry. Night Sorrow said. Father, stop chatting. The uncles of the God-slaying team are all clamoring to have a drink with you. It's all over now. Yi Qingyan entered the main hall of the mansion. %Cool, Smith Z Network's original unspecified currency S first release. Haha. Tranheng, Martial Uncle, you can't leave. I'll go see my brothers first. Night Sorrow stood up and said with a smile. The story ended here. After typing these words, she felt very sad. It was as if his child had grown up and left his side. He was very reluctant to part. Thank you for your company for more than a year. Companionship is everlasting. With everyone's support, I've achieved good results. She thanks everyone. Where there's a beginning, there's an end. Separation is for the next reunion. I'll wait for everyone in my new book, The Redbud Token. The Redbud Token is my personal style. It's also the style I'm good at. I believe that I can write a good book that everyone will like. She has a hard-working attitude. Chapter 2362. Welcome, Lord God King. When Night Sorrow appeared, the members of the god-slaying team stood up and greeted him respectfully. Night Sorrow's eyes contained the sun, moon, and stars. He could control everything. Night Sorrow couldn't help but frown, thinking that there was a gap between them. Long Jin lay bow, and the others laughed loudly. Even the most reserved Qingjun couldn't help but purse his lips. So they were joking. Night Sorrow couldn't help but feel helpless. However, he was in a good mood. Today, brothers, let's get drunk. The hidden danger of the devil-winged race was resolved, and the world was at peace. Time passed quickly, and 300 years passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Night Sorrow found Tran Heng, King Yawu, and Wu Lingfei. He told them that he couldn't suppress his cultivation, and was about to ascend to the God King realm. The heavenly Tao was interfering, and he had to ascend to the God King realm. After arranging everything, Night Sorrow brought his family from Bamboo Garden Village to Tianhuang City. They walked the path of the past, reminiscing about the joys and frustrations, and stabilized their mood and cultivation. The day of ascension. Dark clouds hung low in the sky, and the entire 9 regions world was quiet. Night Sorrow only informed Tran Heng, King Yawu, and a few others because the 9 regions world needed Tran Heng and King Yawu to oversee it. Only Yi Nianxiao appeared from the Night Moon dynasty. She stood side by side with Tianyu. The others were kept in the clear sky pagoda by Night Sorrow, ready to ascend together. Apart from the Night Moon dynasty's people, Night Sorrow only brought Wu Lingfei. She wanted to find the Phoenix ancestral grounds in the God King realm. If she could find it, it would be a great opportunity. Thank you for sending me off. Everyone take care. Flowers will bloom again, and people will meet again. Night Sorrow, who was wearing a brand new navy blue robe, stepped forward and caressed Yi Nianxiao's hair. He bid farewell to everyone and left behind the Emperor's seal and the Emperor's brush. This was to bring peace to the world. Suddenly, the power of merit rushed into his body. At this moment, Night Sorrow no longer restrained his sharpness. He released his primordial energy and reincarnation energy, forming a protective mist around his body. He soared into the sky. Not long after flying out of the Chaos World Group, the violent heavenly thunder earthly fire appeared. It was the first time a creature of the celestial realm had ascended to the celestial realm since the creation of the world, not to mention that he had brought his family. Night Sorrow did not dare to be careless. He defended himself with his protective energy. If the situation went wrong, he would immediately throw his people and Wu Lingfei out. Boom, boom, boom. Streaks of violent thunderbolts bombarded Night Sorrow's body continuously. These thunderbolts were several times more terrifying than the God-destroying tribulation. However, Night Sorrow was no longer in the divine soul unity realm. He was a true God Emperor. Naturally, he was not the same as before. He relied on his cultivation and valiant body to withstand the thunderbolts and continued to fly upwards. Not good. The earthly fire is attacking the Clear Sky Pagoda. The Clear Sky Pagoda is showing signs of being incinerated. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and the others in the Clear Sky Pagoda shouted at the same time. The earthly fire was everywhere. It burned not only Night Sorrow's body, but also the Clear Sky Pagoda in his dantian. It wanted to burn everyone into ashes. Break for me. Family was his reverse scale. He could not allow anyone to violate it. The heavenly thunder earthly fire was even more so. Night Sorrow shouted. He used the energy in his body to expel the burning earthly fire and protect the Clear Sky Pagoda. His body resisted the heavenly thunder earthly fire. Soon, visible cracks appeared on his crystal-like body. The heavenly thunder earthly fire was very special. It was impossible to avoid it. His Thousand Realms defense was also useless. He could only resist it. If he did not cultivate the myriad Tao Tome, Night Sorrow's body would have disintegrated. This won't do. No matter how difficult it is, I have to increase my flying speed. The heavenly thunder earthly fire became more and more violent. The pressure on Night Sorrow also increased. Soon half of the energy in his body was consumed. He also felt a heavy pressure in his heart. If this continued, it would be like boiling a frog in warm water. It would be easy for him to die. He had to increase his flying speed. 2/3 of the energy in my body has been consumed. I'm still in the heavenly thunder earthly fire. Not long after, Night Sorrow's energy was almost exhausted. However, the heavenly thunder earthly fire did not dissipate. Helpless, he could only support the power of virtue and continue to resist the heavenly thunder earthly fire. This was one of his most important trump cards. In the Clear Sky Pagoda, Night Moon's clansmen and Wu Lingfei were anxious. However, they were not strong enough to help. They could only pray silently. Space barrier. It's almost done. The power of virtue was very strong. However, it was only enough for Night Sorrow to hold on. Fortunately, the divine world was not far away. He was confident. What is this? Seeing that victory was in sight, Night Sorrow and the others noticed that the heavenly thunder earthly fire and the heavenly thunder earthly fire were gathering not far away. They slowly formed a huge lightning dragon. The lightning dragon's aura was extremely oppressive. It was as if it could destroy the world. Danger! Husband, be careful! Even Aoi, who was the most stable, could not help but shout out a warning. Father, be careful! Yi Qingyan and Yi Xiaolei were so anxious that they were about to cry. It's okay. As long as I'm still alive, I will protect everyone. Although the situation was critical, Night Sorrow did not retreat. While controlling the power of virtue, he broke his left arm and used the everlasting body tempering art to absorb the energy of the same origin as his flesh. He continued to advance. Night Sorrow faced the danger. The lightning dragon did not attack. Instead, it spat out heavenly thunder fire, which contained the power of destruction. It burned Night Sorrow's body. In an instant, the heavenly thunder fire around Night Sorrow's body was burned away. Cracks also appeared on the Clear Sky Pagoda. If this continued, everyone in the pagoda would be burned to death. If I can't defend against this heavenly thunder fire, everyone will be annihilated. Night Sorrow's energy was not enough to defend against the heavenly thunder fire. He broke his right arm and legs and continuously used the everlasting body tempering art to increase his divine domain to the peak. Husband. Datura murmured worriedly. Son. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing held each other's hands tightly. The heavenly thunder fire burned Night Sorrow, as if it was burning their hearts. The others in the Clear Sky Pagoda were also distressed. Many people's eyes had already turned red. They were clear that if Night Sorrow did not divert too much energy to protect the Clear Sky Pagoda, he should have succeeded in ascending long ago. I can't fall. Night Sorrow persisted until the end. He was like a lamp that had run out of oil, but he was still flying upwards. Finally, when the Clear Sky Pagoda was about to be destroyed, Night Sorrow broke through the seal and arrived at a brand new space. I didn't let everyone down. Night Sorrow was too miserable to look at, but he was happy. Other than him and the Clear Sky Pagoda, no one was injured. This was already the best result. The spatial passage slowly closed. Without a trace of energy in his body, Night Sorrow, who had fainted, uncontrollably fell from the sky to the ground. Divine Realm. The sky was higher, the earth was more solid, the spiritual energy was vast, the space was extremely stable, and the heavenly Tao's laws were more complete. Presumably, cultivating in such an environment would be easier. But how could the people who came out of the Clear Sky Pagoda be in the mood to study cultivation matters? They all gathered around Night Sorrow. Lin Piaomiao fished out a medicinal pill and sent it into Night Sorrow's mouth. The medicinal pill was refined before Night Sorrow became a deity. Its grade was limited, but it was better than nothing. Aha! Lord Military Advisor indeed did not calculate wrongly. There is indeed a creator who succeeded in ascending. This is a tremendous lucky chance. Right at this time, two cultivators, one male and one female, flew down from above the layers of clouds. Their divine power was vast and mighty, as dazzling as the sun. Their pressure made people's hearts palpitate. Clearly, they had already become deities. The male cultivator among them was wearing a white brocade robe with a crown on his head. His appearance had a rather scholarly temperament, but there was a heavy vicious aura between his brows. His gaze that examined everyone was extremely unruly. Floating in the air with his hands behind his back, he said coldly, "A bunch of ants, still not kneeling on the ground after seeing this seat." Chapter 2363. May I know who you are? Although our cultivation levels are low, we are not slaves who will kneel before anyone. Night Sorrow's grandfather, Yi Linghuan, retorted. The Yi family members were prideful cultivators. They would kneel to the heavens, to the earth, to their masters, and to their parents. But they would never do such a thing. Otherwise, their Tao hearts would be unstable and they would not submit. Little ant, you have not even reached the immortal state, and you dare to speak so arrogantly. You really don't know what's good for you. Do you know that I am Ling Yun, a subordinate of the Purple Mansion Divine Lord? This is my Tao partner, Azure Glass Divine Lord. I can crush your supreme existence with a stomp of my feet. The white-robed cultivator, Ling Yun, scolded with a sinister expression. Then he raised his hand and shot out a beam of light. With a groan, Yi Linghuan's dantian was destroyed. To a cultivator, having one's dantian destroyed meant losing all their cultivation. It was even more painful than having one's soul destroyed. Ling Yun, who could kill him with one blow, was a vicious person. You beast, you hurt my grandfather for no reason. You will die a horrible death. Night Sorrow's condition was not good. Lin Piaomiao was already the strongest in the family. Seeing her grandfather being humiliated, she attacked without hesitation. I'll kill you. Yi Shaluo attacked at the same time. Although it was like a mayfly trying to shake a tree, it could not stop their determination to take revenge. This was the Yi family's unyielding character. Haha, you overestimate yourself. A firefly trying to compete with the moon. Ling Yun smirked and pointed two fingers. Lin Piaomiao and Yi Xiaoluo's dantians were destroyed as well. In reality, with Ling Yun's cultivation level, he did not need to attack to intimidate everyone. But he was playing with them like a cat playing with a mouse. Stop. Don't be rash. Night Sorrow, who had just woken up, saw the tragedy happen and instantly understood what happened. Anger filled his heart, and his Tao heart trembled. But he gritted his teeth and stopped his family members who were about to continue attacking. Night Sorrow could not see through the strength of the male and female cultivators. This proved that the difference between them was too obvious. They were completely powerless. The helplessness of having his life and death controlled by someone else made Night Sorrow feel resentful. Suppressing his anger, he coldly said, I wonder what the two of you are here for? Ever since he started cultivating, Night Sorrow had experienced setbacks and oppression, but he had never been so humiliated like today. He swore in his heart that if he didn't die today, he would quickly become stronger and kill this so-called high god Ling Yun, so that his family would never be bullied again. There was one tactful person. Are you the cultivator, who created the world and successfully ascended to the god realm? Since you're already crippled, I'll pardon you for not kneeling. The corners of Ling Yun's mouth carried an evil smile as he looked at Yi Shang with a mocking gaze. He thought to himself, you're just a lower realm dragon and phoenix. In front of me, you're still trash like an ant. Today, I will take away all the opportunities that belong to you. I don't know what creating the world is, but I did just ascend. The pale-faced Night Sorrow replied, but his heart was filled with hatred and indignation. As a realm master and human emperor, how could he swallow such humiliation? If not for his family, Night Sorrow would have chosen to die together with them. That's right, it's you. You created the world and ascended. So the origin of the god realm will reward you. When the origin of the god realm descends, you have to give me the opportunity. Otherwise everyone here will die, Ling Yun threatened coldly. As one of the top 10 subordinates of the Purple Mansion Divine Lord, if he could absorb the reward from the origin of the god realm, he might become a divine lord. In the god realm was divided into Feather God, High God, Divine Lord, and Divine King. Each god realm was further divided into lower, middle, and high. Night Sorrow, who had just ascended, was a lower feather god. Ling Yin was a high god. There was a difference of 5 levels between them. I agree, but you have to swear to ensure the safety of my family. Otherwise, I'd rather die together with them, Night Sorrow said coldly. His family was his bottom line. Swear. Sure. They're just a bunch of ants. Their lives have nothing to do with me. I Ling Yin swear. Ling Yin casually swore. When the auspicious sign descends, resist it with all your strength. Don't absorb any of it. It's coming. Suddenly, Ling Yun's eyes lit up. At this moment, gentle golden energy floated over from the horizon and surrounded Yi Shang. If I absorb it all, not only will I recover from my injuries, but my cultivation will also increase. The golden energy was extremely pure, and being surrounded by it made one feel comfortable. This originally belonged to Yi Shan, but now he could only harden his heart and resist it, not absorbing a single bit. Haha, you know your place. The pure energy radiance was resisted by Night Sorrow and floated away bit by bit. Ling Yun's face was full of enjoyment as he absorbed it. Lapis Lazuli was envious, but she didn't dare to do anything. She was obviously afraid of Ling Yun. The origin of the godly world is indeed extraordinary. After absorbing it completely, Ling Yun looked up to the sky and roared. Then his expression changed. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, "You must have extraordinary talent to be able to ascend from the lower realm. I can spare your life, but I can't give you a chance to take revenge." As he spoke, Ling Yun raised his hand and pointed viciously. He wanted to destroy Night Sorrow's energy center and turn him into a cripple. Be ****. Even though Night Sorrow had been through countless storms, he felt like his heart was being stabbed by a knife. There was a huge difference in their cultivation levels. Ling Yun could indeed cripple him with a wave of his hand. Night Sorrow, who had no ability to resist, could only use his remaining energy to protect his energy center. Night Sorrow. At this moment, Wu Lingfei, who was standing beside Night Sorrow, suddenly let out a phoenix cry and turned into a golden phoenix. She used the essence of her energy, which was her wings, to protect Night Sorrow. Even though Wu Lingfei was a big shot in the celestial realm, she couldn't withstand a blow from a godly god. Her wings were instantly smashed into a bloody mess, and her origin was directly damaged. Auntie Fei, why are you so silly? No matter how big the matter is, I Night Sorrow will take it on. Night Sorrow roared like an injured beast as he looked at Wu Lingfei, who was dying and covered in blood. Wu Lingfei had stood up for Night Sorrow many times since he started cultivating. Now that he was a god, Night Sorrow felt like his heart was being torn apart. Haha, if you want to take it on, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Yin smiled. He enjoyed the feeling of controlling life and death. However, just as Ling Yin was about to make a move, Lu Li, who was floating in the air and wearing a red robe, said, "Husband, look at that golden phoenix. What's there to see about an ant?" Ling Yin said unhappily. Sir Divine Lord's birthday is in 800 years. Isn't husband lacking a gift that can satisfy Sir Divine Lord? I see that this golden phoenix has a pure bloodline. There aren't many phoenixes with such a bloodline in the entire godly world. Moreover, she is a virgin. She can be given to Sir Divine Lord. Lu Li's eyes flashed. Wu Lingfei's sudden outburst had been seen through by Lu Li. Yes. 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 Sir Divine Lord's original body is a sky-devouring sparrow. It's best to give this golden phoenix to Sir Divine Lord. Lu Li, you didn't let me down. Chapter 2364. Each of the top 100 experts on the Divine Lord ranking was famous in the Divine Realm. They had the chance to become the Divine King. Ordinary Divine Lords couldn't compare to them. Ling Yun was both respectful and afraid of the Purple Mansion Divine Lord. Naturally, he wanted to curry favor with him. This bitch's injuries are too severe. I'm afraid it won't be easy to save her. But if I can make the Divine Lord happy, it'll be worth it even if I have to use some pills. Wu Lingfei couldn't withstand a high god's attack. She lay on the ground in a bloody mess, her body corroded by divine power. If she wasn't treated, she would soon die. Ling Yun didn't delay. He used his divine power to put Wu Lingfei into his spatial artifact and fled with azurite. He didn't even attack Night Sorrow. Clearly, he didn't want to waste that moment. Anti-Fei. Yi Shang swears that he will definitely become stronger and save you in one piece. Ling Yun, you treat me like an ant today. I, Night Sorrow, will repay you 100-fold. Though they'd escaped disaster, Night Sorrow felt like a knife had cut his heart. If anything had happened to Wu Lingfei, his Dao heart would have been shattered. Fortunately, the Purple Mansion Divine Lord's birthday was in 800 years. This meant that Wu Lingfei would be safe in the short term. However, advancing to the Divine Realm was much more difficult than advancing to the Emperor Realm or the Imperial Tribulation Realm. Thus 800 years was a short time. Grandfather, Sister Xianu Shaoluo. I'll heal you as soon as possible. As for that Ling Yun, I'll kill him. No one can humiliate the Yi family. No matter if he's a high god or a divine lord, he'll have to pay the price. Wu Lingfei's situation was worrying for the future. Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo's injuries were worrying for the immediate future. Night Sorrow couldn't help but comfort them when he scanned them with his divine sense. Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo's condition wasn't as simple as their dantians being destroyed. More importantly, Ling Yun's divine power remained in their dantians, corroding them like poison. If he wanted to expel the divine power and repair the dantian of several people, he would need very high-grade divine elixirs or natural treasures. If he delayed for too long, his life would be in danger. Sister Xian, believes in you. Don't give yourself too much pressure, and don't take unnecessary risks. The God world is not simple. After being sent into the Clear Sky Pagoda, Lin Piaomiao, whose face was as pale as a sheet of paper, began to earnestly instruct Yi Qingyu. There were too many experts in the divine world, and danger was everywhere. She was worried that Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to change his mindset. She had previously used the name Lin Xian, but Night Sorrow still called her Sister Xian. Big Sister Xian, don't worry. I understand the principle of survival of the fittest. I won't be arrogant. After chatting with Lin Piaomiao for a while, Lu Yu, who was accompanying Yi Xiaoluo, was comforted by Night Sorrow before he began to heal himself. Even with the Clear Sky Pagoda's acceleration, it took 2 years for Night Sorrow to fully recover from his injuries. After fully recovering, Night Sorrow found a secluded valley and set up a defensive array. He called everyone out from the Clear Sky Pagoda and said, "This is the first time we've come to the God world. Everyone knows nothing. Today, I'll set off to scout for information and find some opportunities. I've already set up a defensive array here. Although it's not a divine array, the surrounding demonic beasts can still block it. After I find the divine array diagrams and materials, I'll set up this place as our stronghold in the God world." He didn't have the slightest understanding of the God world. He didn't even know how the God realm was divided. He didn't have any God realm cultivation techniques or absolute arts, divine pill recipes, or array diagrams. He didn't know how to obtain the power of virtue, and he also didn't know how to upgrade the myriad Dao Tome and heavenly halberd of samsara. It wasn't easy to become stronger quickly. Night Sorrow understood that he couldn't afford any delays. "Husband, I'll go with you," Datura said. She was very worried that Night Sorrow would have an accident. In the end, Night Sorrow refused and left after a few words. Datura wasn't in the God realm, and was like a celestial being. It would be easy for him to get into trouble if he showed himself in public. The energy in the God world was more condensed. The speed of flight was twice as slow as in the celestial realm. After 4 days, Night Sorrow found a city by the sea called North Sea City. This city was grand and imposing. The area it occupied was millions of times larger than Sky City. When he entered the city, 2 armored guards demanded 5 divine crystals. Night Sorrow knew that this was the rule. He took out a demonic core he obtained from killing a demonic beast on the way and said, "I don't have any divine crystals. Will this demonic core do?" The demonic wolf Night Sorrow killed was half a step into the God realm. Its demonic core was worth at least 30 divine crystals. The 2 guards naturally let him pass. This guy is so generous and doesn't know anything. He must be a hothead who just entered the world. Why don't we sell this information to the High God Sticks? Isn't he looking everywhere for feather gods without any support? One of the guards said after Night Sorrow left. None of the helpers the high god Styx finds have a good ending. Wouldn't it be a crime to introduce them to him? The other guard said. Who cares? It's fine as long as someone pays us divine crystals. If we don't earn more divine crystals, we won't be able to become gods. The guard said indifferently. The two of them used a secret method unique to the god world to transmit their voices. Night Sorrow didn't notice. At this time, he was using his divine soul to investigate the situation in the city. It turned out that the god world was similar to the chaotic world. There were many shops in the city, such as alchemy shops, weapon refineries, restaurants, tea houses, and even playhouses and brothels. However, the cultivation environment was different. The cultivators in the god world were stronger. It was almost impossible to find anyone below the king realm in the city. Experts in the god realm could be seen everywhere. Divine crystals were similar to the spirit stones in the chaotic world, but they contained more energy and were more valuable. After entering the city, the penniless Night Sorrow found a shop and sold a few half-step god realm beast cores for 200 divine crystals. He bought some books and maps of the god world. Only now did Yi Shang understand just how strong Ling Yun and the Zifu Divine Lord were, and just how great the gap was between them. He knew just how many cultivation levels he would have to cross in 800 years. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. As for how to treat Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Shaluo, Night Sorrow didn't find out. The most important thing now is how to get a god realm cultivation technique. Without an immortal realm cultivation method, it was naturally impossible to increase one's cultivation. Sitting in a restaurant, Yi Shang listened to the stories of many legendary figures, and thought about the first step he should take after arriving in the immortal realm. In the center of Haibei City, there was a huge cultivator market. Not only were there all kinds of shops in the market, there were also stalls. This made Yi Shang think back to his initial experience in the heaven realm. He secretly thought that with his ability to concoct pills, refine tools, and set up formations, he would be able to quickly accumulate experience. An even faster way to earn resources was to accept missions from the Wuji Pavilion, or the Umbra Hall. The rewards for accepting missions from the Mercenary Guild in Haibei City were not as good as those two places. However, he could get some points from the guild and get a corresponding discount when exchanging for items in the future. Chapter 2365. The market in Haibei City was called the Sea and Sky Bazaar. There were all kinds of shops. There were nearly 100,000 stalls for cultivators to set up stalls, so there were many empty spots. When they arrived at the bazaar, Night Sorrow found a white-robed law enforcement captain named Lu Jiangtian. He handed over 100 divine crystals, and successfully signed a 1-year lease contract. The owner of the Sea and Sky Bazaar was Shangguan Yun, the city lord of Haibei City. The bazaar was the same as Haibei City. There was a law enforcement team. If there was a dispute, they could use force, but there had to be a valid reason. In addition, there was a commission and other related matters. Even if they paid the rent, they had to hand over 10% of the earned resources. It's easy to earn resources as a city lord, but it's a bit despicable to squeeze low-level cultivators to make money. Night Sorrow couldn't help but mutter in his heart as he was led to the stall by a king realm attendant. If he were the city lord, he wouldn't take the 10% bonus. Although the feather god and the supreme god were both in the immortal realm, they were two completely different realms. Night Sorrow didn't like the city lord's behavior. After all, he was no match for him. Oh, there's a newcomer. He's a mid-level immortal realm expert. As soon as Night Sorrow arrived at the stall, a yellow-robed old man at the left side of the stall looked at him with interest. This yellow-robed old man was half a step away from the immortal realm. He had a sage-like appearance and was setting up a fortune-telling stall. He asked with a smile, "Sir, you're an immortal realm expert. Why are you still here?" There weren't many immortal realm experts setting up stalls in the Sea and Sky Bazaar. There were less than 100 people, but there were many who ran shops. "I'm Night Sorrow. I've just cultivated to the Feather God realm and came out of the wilderness. I'm short of resources, so I have no choice but to set up a stall here. Brother, just call me by my name. It's my first time here, Please take care of me. Yi Shang politely replied as he didn't slap a smiling face. Lord Night Sorrow, ignore that old bastard. He's nicknamed Old Swindler. He's a middle-level feather god, and likes to pretend to be weak to take advantage of others. Swindling, whatever. At this moment, a fat cultivator who looked to be in his 20s was standing at a stall to the right of Night Sorrow. His cultivation level was half a step away from immortal state. His stall was selling miscellaneous items such as books, elixirs, tools, materials, and herbs. However, the quality of the items was mediocre. Bah. How could you say that? I, Xianjizi, was born with a kind heart. How am I a swindler? The old man, Xianjizi, retorted. Haha, it's fine. It's fate that brought us together. How should I address you, brother? Night Sorrow asked casually. However, the name Xianjizi reminded him of an old friend, and he quickly recovered. Lord Night Sorrow. My name is Neopatian, a human form of the Yao clan. The fat cultivator replied respectfully. Brother, your name is quite domineering. You don't have to stand on ceremony. Just call me by my name like you do. Why don't you two try the wine I brought from my hometown? Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine brewed by Aoi from his storage space, and gave them to Xianjizi and Neopatian. He was not in a hurry to set up his stall because Night Sorrow was using his divine sense to observe the market. He was investigating the stalls selling elixirs, weapons, and array formations. He wanted to understand the basic market conditions and find a suitable price. Good wine. Although this wine was brewed in a primitive way, it's strong enough. It's a wine for men. I like it. Neopatian gulped down the wine and praised. It's indeed good wine. It's hard to find such pure wine in the immortal realm. Xianjizi sighed and asked, Brother Night Sorrow, what are you going to sell? Selling my skills? I'm just trying to get something for nothing. Night Sorrow, who had finished drinking the wine in the jar, was almost done with his research. He wrote on the stall, Immortal Realm Alchemist, Weapon Refiner, Array Formation Master. We accept all kinds of business at a discounted price. There were less than 100 Immortal Realm cultivators setting up stalls in the Ocean Sky Grand Bazaar. Among them, there were very few Immortal Realm alchemists, weapon refiners, and array formation masters. The competition was not fierce, and Night Sorrow's price was reasonable. The Immortal Realm alchemy and array formation business required the buyer to provide the blueprint, so the price was very low. It was 21%, which meant that the buyer provided 2 sets of materials and guaranteed 1 set of finished products. If both sets of materials failed, the buyer would have to pay the full price. The Immortal Realm alchemy and array formation business, and all weapon refiners business were 31%. As long as the materials were in place, the weapon refiner could make a divine artifact. There was no need for blueprints. It was related to the weapon refiner's cultivation and attributes. Oh, Brother Night Sorrow, you're an Immortal Realm alchemist, weapon refiner, and array formation master. Amazing, amazing. With your skills, you can go to the City Lord Mansion and have a good future. Why are you setting up a stall here? Xianjizi's eyes flashed. A Immortal Realm cultivator like Night Sorrow had a bright future. He wanted to make friends with him. I'm a lazy person by nature, and I don't want to be controlled. I like to be free and unrestrained, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That makes sense. Neopatian nodded in agreement. In fact, he was the same as Xianjizi. He didn't have any background, but he was happy to be free. Xianjizi continued, that makes sense. But Brother Night Sorrow, everyone likes to find familiar faces to do alchemy and weapon refiners. You're new here, so I'm afraid business won't be easy. That's true. Everything is difficult at the beginning. On the first day of Night Sorrow's stall, many cultivators came to check and ask about it, but no business took place. It was still the same on the second day. On the third day, Xianjizi finished reading A Cultivator's Fortune and walked to Night Sorrow. He smiled and said, Brother Night Sorrow, what do you think? I'll provide you with a set of materials. Can you help your elder brother improve the quality of this compass? If it can be improved to the immortal realm, I won't have to worry about business in the future. If it can't be improved, I won't need you to compensate me. Old liar, when did you become so generous? You're not planning something again, are you? Neopatian was immediately suspicious. When he first came to the market, Xianjizi had almost cheated him of all his wealth. Scram, what do you know? Xianjizi replied angrily and explained, Brother Night Sorrow, you don't need to think too much. I just want to form good karma. Okay, I'll take it. To Night Sorrow, who didn't have any immortal realm materials, this was undoubtedly a timely help. He remembered this favor and agreed without hesitation. These are the materials I need. Outer realm frost iron, dragon tortoise shell, infinite mysterious ice jade. Xianjizi was overjoyed. To him, this was killing two birds with one stone. Brother Night Sorrow, I've accumulated some immortal realm materials, but I don't need them for now. I'll give them to you for practice. Neopatian knew Xianjizi's character well. He was completely powerless, so he immediately joined in. What are you doing here? Chapter 2366. Alright, since it's your kind intentions, I'll accept them. Night Sorrow was not a greedy person. However, the materials that Neopatian gave him were purple gold divine stones. They were just enough to upgrade the 8-dragon cauldron. The 8-dragon cauldron was Night Sorrow's treasure. It was necessary to upgrade it to the divine grade. He had to accept the materials and owe them a favor. I wonder how difficult it is to upgrade the 8-dragon cauldron in the divine world. After all, this was Night Sorrow's first time forging an artifact in the god realm, so he could only feel his way through. However, he soon discovered that without the suppression of the divine Tao regulations, the difficulty of forging a divine artifact wasn't too high. Soon the 8-dragon cauldron, which had been upgraded to a quasi-divine artifact, was forged. It was called a quasi-divine grade artifact because a real divine grade artifact had to go through a lightning tribulation. After a while, tribulation clouds gathered in the sky. The heavenly tribulation lightning struck one after another. What Xianjizi and Neopatian did not expect was that the 8-dragon cauldron would receive 3 lightning tribulation clouds. It turned out that they had enough materials. In addition, Night Sorrow had the space-time attribute. During the refining process, he added the space-time attribute to the 8-dragon cauldron. Among the 3 lightning tribulations, the first one was for the divine grade artifact. The second and third ones were for the space-time attribute and the space-time attribute. 3 lightning tribulations. Xianjizi and Neopatian were excited. It's done. Seeing the lightning tribulation, Night Sorrow was overjoyed. Others might be afraid of the lightning tribulation, but he was not. He carried the 8-dragon cauldron and soared into the sky. Awesome. It's a pity that the lightning tribulation is too weak. Night Sorrow had cultivated the myriad Daos treasured tome and strengthened his body with the everlasting body tempering art. It was not difficult for him to withstand the lightning tribulation with his body. He passed the lightning tribulation quickly. However, the 8-dragon cauldron was upgraded after the lightning tribulation. It did not have much to do with him. Night Sorrow's strength did not improve. Brother Night Sorrow, come, take this divine grade chi replenishing pill. After Night Sorrow passed the lightning tribulation, Xianjizi immediately took out a pill. Brother Night Sorrow, come take this divine grade pill from me. Neopatian took out a divine grade pill as well. There's no need for the pill. I'm fine. Yishang wasn't the type to take advantage of others. Since he had nothing to do, he naturally wouldn't accept their kindness. After adjusting his breathing for a while, Yishang stood up and roared, "Cauldron, come!" The 8-dragon cauldron, which had fallen to the ground, suddenly let out a dragon's roar and flew in front of Yishang to help him refine Xianjizi's compass. This time, the crowd was several times more than before. After all, it was rare to see a blacksmith who could forge 3 thunder tribulation divine tools in front of everyone. What they didn't know was that Night Sorrow only added the space and time attributes because he didn't have enough raw materials, and also because he was hiding his true abilities. He had the beginning and reincarnation attributes, the 2 taboo attributes. If he really went all out, who knew what kind of effect he could produce? In order to upgrade Xianjizi's compass, Night Sorrow also added the space and time attributes. However, Transcending the tribulation was Xianjizi's business. After that, Xianjizi took the compass and went through the tribulation together. He was not as domineering as Night Sorrow, who had used all of his trump cards to barely pass through the tribulation lightning. His body had almost been shattered. Ha ha ha. I, Xianjizi, actually have 3 thunder tribulation feathers. And it's even fused with the time and space attributes. Brother Night Sorrow, quickly accept a bow from your big brother. Xianjizi cut a sorry figure after being struck by the lightning tribulation, but he was quite excited. After getting up, he bowed to Night Sorrow. The strength of a divine artifact of the feather god level depended on how many lightning tribulations it had to go through. Under normal circumstances, the highest was 9 lightning tribulations, but a forbidden divine artifact could go beyond that. Brother, you don't have to be so polite with me. Night Sorrow helped Xianjizi up, then looked at the envious Neopatian and said, Brother Patian, no need to be envious. When I have accumulated enough materials, I will also refine a divine artifact for you. But your cultivation is only half a step away from the immortal state now. I'm afraid that the divine artifact might not be easy to use. Neopatian looked to be about 20 years old, but he had been cultivating for many years. Night Sorrow really could not call him brother. Thank you, Brother Night Sorrow. Patian will work hard to improve his cultivation. Neopatian did not mind. He felt that the strong were respected. After thanking him, he said in a low voice, Brother Night Sorrow, you are very resourceful. Your business will definitely not be bad. But you have to be careful of the white-robed law enforcement captain, Lu Jiangtian. He is a master who eats people without spitting out the bones. Thank you for the reminder. Night Sorrow did not pay too much attention to it. In the world of cultivators, news spread very quickly. Today, he had refined 3 thunder tribulation divine artifacts, which would definitely bring him a lot of fame. Even if he did not stay in the Sea Sky Bazaar, business would still come to him. He was not afraid of the law enforcement at all. Then Xianjizi entered the space world of the compass and used the time acceleration to heal his injuries. Neopatian decided to close his stall and help Yichang. Although he looked fat, he was very professional when it came to taking orders and settling accounts. He didn't make any mistakes. With the promotion of 3 thunder tribulation divine artifacts, Night Sorrow's business was very good. He did not stop refining for 9 months. He refined 4 thunder tribulation divine artifacts with 3 thunder tribulation divine artifacts, 7 thunder tribulation divine artifacts with 2 thunder tribulation divine artifacts, and more than 10 thunder tribulation divine artifacts with 1 thunder tribulation divine artifact. As for those below the immortal level, he could not count them. Alchemy business was all for elixirs below the immortal level, because no one was willing to take out the blueprints of immortal level elixirs. As for array formation business, he did not receive any. Whether it was refining or refining elixirs, Night Sorrow's success rate was 100%. He had accumulated a lot of immortal level materials. He estimated that these materials were enough to set up a feather god level defensive array formation in the valley. He only lacked the immortal level blueprints and a complete set of immortal level demon beast bones. The immortal level demon beast bones were not necessary to set up an array, but it was equivalent to having another immortal level demon beast guarding the mountain. It was very necessary to get one. Do you know how to find a complete set of immortal level demon beast bones? It would be best if they were of the upper feather god level, and even better if they were of the high god level. Also, what is the price of the immortal level blueprints? After 9 months of continuous work, Night Sorrow, who had exhausted his energy, stopped taking orders and prepared to rest for a few days. He would return to the valley to take a look and send some cultivation resources to his clansmen. Before he left, he would make some preparations. Immortal level blueprints and complete sets of immortal level demon beast bones are rare in Hebei City. They may appear in the auction house occasionally, but the price is quite expensive. Xianjizi explained and continued. Especially the immortal level blueprints. Every time they appear, they will be auctioned for a sky-high price, even higher than immortal level cultivation techniques. After a few months of interaction, Xianjizi and Neopatian understood that Night Sorrow did not have any immortal level crystals on him. He did not even have any immortal-level cultivation techniques or absolute arts. All he had were the materials he obtained from refining equipment. He was not very rich, so it was not easy to get immortal-level blueprints or immortal-level demon beast bones. It seems like it is not easy to set up an immortal-level defensive array formation. Knight Sorrow muttered to himself. In fact, it was not only the immortal-level blueprints that were hard to obtain. The various forces, sects, and clans in the divine world all valued cultivation techniques, absolute arts, and elixir recipes very highly. Master Knight Sorrow, do you need a complete set of immortal-level demon beast bones and immortal-level blueprints? This one may be able to help. Chapter 2367. How should I address you? Knight Sorrow asked as he sized up the male cultivator. He was a high-tier feather god. I am Situlai. I have come to bring you a great opportunity, Grandmaster Knight Sorrow. The male cultivator cupped his hands. What opportunity? Yishan asked. He didn't believe that there was such a thing as a free lunch. At that moment, Xianjizi used a secret technique to send a message to Knight Sorrow. Brother Knight Sorrow. This Situlai is a subordinate of High God Styx. In the past 30 years, High God Styx has recruited many feather gods. These feather god realm loose cultivators all disappeared after being recruited. Don't promise Situlai anything. There's such a thing? It seems that this so-called great opportunity is actually a great danger. Knight Sorrow was on guard, but he didn't reject Situlai directly. Instead, he asked, Brother Situ, what is this great opportunity you speak of? You can tell me directly. Wu Ling concubine had been taken away, and Yi Linghuan Lin Piaomiao and Yi Shalua were still waiting for treatment. Yi Shang, who was desperate for resources, wanted to hear what had happened. Of course, I can be frank. Situlai nodded slightly and sent a message to Knight Sorrow. Grandmaster Knight Sorrow, I won't hide it from you. My Lord Styx discovered a cave abode 30 years ago. This cave abode was left behind by the Divine Lord Jinyuan. His inheritance is not to be underestimated. However, the Divine Lord Jinyuan set up a special restriction that only feather gods can enter. It was my Lord Styx's idea to bring you here. Are the wandering cultivators of the Divine Feather Realm who have gone missing in recent years related to this cave? Yishang asked directly. That's true. It was because of the sacrifice of these feather gods that my lord was able to learn about the cave abode. Situlai explained, then continued. The Divine Lord Jinyuan is not only powerful, but he is also skilled in formations and alchemy. His inheritance is very rich. There is more than one set of divine-level Yao skeletons here. As for the Divine Feather Realm cultivators who had died in the cave abode, they were only there to test the waters. The strongest among them was only a mid-level Divine Feather Realm cultivator, and there was no formation master among them. The next time they entered, there would be a dozen or so high-tier feather gods leading the team, as well as several array masters. If Master Knight Sorrow joins us, our chances of success will be much higher. If I go, what's the reward? How should we distribute the resources we found? Situlai talked non-stop. He was a powerful lobbyist. Knight Sorrow had to admit from the bottom of his heart that the pill formulas and array diagrams were very tempting to him. If he could really find a Divine Lord level pill formula, then maybe there would be a way to heal Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaolua's injuries. The issue of rewards and resource allocation is decided by my High God Styx. I'm just a lobbyist. However, at the end of the day, rewards and resources were distributed according to one's ability. If Master can display extraordinary abilities in front of my lord, then the reward will be very generous. In Situlai's eyes, Knight Sorrow was only a low-level Divine Feather Realm cultivator. His strength was negligible. His value was reflected in alchemy and formations. Breaking into the cave abode of others was very dangerous, so alchemists and formation masters were very useful. Knight Sorrow naturally understood the meaning behind his words. He was also happy that his strength was ignored. The more he was underestimated, the harder it was for him to be targeted. After pondering for a moment, Knight Sorrow said, I understand. I need to think about it seriously. I'll give you an answer in a month. Good. In a month, I'll bring you to see Lord Styx. If you need anything, Master Night Sorrow can tell my lord. Goodbye. Situlai saw that things were looking good. He left behind a message crystal, and left happily. The world was bustling with activity for profit, and it was even more so for cultivators. Situlai believed that Night Sorrow would not reject him in the end. Brother Night Sorrow, you mustn't be rash. With your ability, you can easily establish yourself in High Bay City. There's no need to take risks. I heard that High God Styx is temperamental and has a bad reputation. Cooperating with him is like asking a tiger for its skin. After Situlai left, Night Sorrow told Xianjizi and Neopatian about this matter. Xianjizi's expression immediately became serious. Neopatian also said worriedly, "There are so many divine Feather Realm cultivators in High Bay City, but Situlai chose you. There must be something fishy about this. I'll consider this matter carefully. Also, I'll be leaving for a few days. If there's any business, please help me take it." Night Sorrow understood that Situlai came to him because he had the ability to refine pills, set up formations and break formations. Moreover, he was a loose cultivator and was easy to control. Night Sorrow was naturally inclined to go, but in the end, he still had to meet High God Styx to make a decision. After leaving the stall, Night Sorrow went to the cultivator shop to sell some of the divine-grade materials. He bought materials to upgrade the Clear Sky Pagoda, Bloodcheelan Evil Slaying Spear, and Reincarnation Halberd, as well as cultivation resources suitable for cultivators below the divine realm. The Clear Sky Pagoda, Bloodcheelan Evil Slaying Spear, and Reincarnation Halberd were divine artifacts in the lower realm. However, due to the suppression of the heavenly Tao, there was a big gap between them and true divine artifacts. After buying the materials, Night Sorrow stepped on the road back to the valley. If he went to explore the cave, he did not know when he would return. He had to inform his clansmen first and give them cultivation resources at the same time. On the way back, in a remote mountain, Night Sorrow used 9 days to upgrade the Clear Sky Pagoda, Bloodcheelan Evil Slaying Spear, and Reincarnation Halberd into true divine artifacts. The Clear Sky Pagoda was a fusion of time and space attributes. It was a divine artifact with 3 thunder tribulation feathers. The Bloodcheelan Evil Slaying Spear was a fusion of time, space, life and death attributes. It was a combination of time, space, life, and death attributes. It was a divine artifact with 5 thunder tribulation feathers. As for the Reincarnation Halberd, it was a fusion of reincarnation attributes. It was a combination of destruction, time and infinity attributes. Because it was a taboo attribute, it was a divine artifact with 10 thunder tribulation feathers. Night Sorrow used his body to withstand the thunder tribulation of the Clear Sky Pagoda and Bloodcheelan Evil Slaying Spear. However, the thunder tribulation of the Reincarnation Halberd caused him to suffer light injuries. However, the injuries were not serious. He recovered quickly in the Clear Sky Pagoda. Not good. Someone is attacking the valley. On this day, when there was still some distance from the valley, Night Sorrow suddenly felt his heart palpitate. He could feel that someone was destroying the defensive formation. The attacker should be a divine realm cultivator. He immediately used the void step spacetime realm. At this time, outside the valley, a middle-level feather god with a pale face was breaking the formation with brute force. He was wearing bright clothes and had an evil smile on his face. He shouted, "Little ladies, don't be afraid without the protection of a divine realm expert. In the future, I, Shengguan Lin, will be your backer." Just now, Datura and Shueshi brought a few juniors to drink tea in the valley. Shengguan Lin, who was passing by in the air, just happened to see them. He was immediately shocked. Evil thoughts immediately arose in his heart. He did not know about formations, so he attacked with brute force. What to do? This person is a divine realm expert. We can't resist at all. The formation that husband set up probably won't last long either. Chapter 2368. Auntie, don't be afraid. We men will hold them off. Auntie and sisters, take the women and escape first. Yi Xiaoke was Night Sorrow's youngest child, but he didn't back down at this crucial moment. He stood in front of them full of fighting spirit. Yes. Auntie, leave first. Yi Lingxi wasn't good with words, but she stood out as well. What are you running for? The women of the Yi family aren't afraid of death. At most, we'll die to show our sincerity. Your father will avenge us. The hot-tempered Yang Lei roared. Yes. At most we'll die. Let's fight it out with this fellow. Yi Qingyan agreed. Aha. Show our sincerity with death? You won't have such a chance. Next, I'll show you the power of a god. Accompanied by wild laughter, a hole was blasted in the formation. Shangguan appeared in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. He released his god-level vital energy, causing everyone to be unable to stand up, let alone attack. The Divine Feather Realm was much stronger than the Divine Soul Unification Realm, or the Imperial Tribulation Realm. They were on a completely different level. That day, Lin Piaomiao and Yi Shalua were able to attack because he didn't release his aura. Today, under Shangguan pressure, the Night Moon clan members truly felt the difference between them. If we don't die, we must become stronger. Yi Xiaoke clenched his teeth. We're not ants. We can't just be a burden. Yi Lingxi was the same. Actually, this was also the voice of the Yi family members. They were extremely glorious in the lower world. How could they tolerate a life of being bullied? Even if this was the divine world, they couldn't. Beautiful. This beauty has the spirit of a king who covets the world. Shangguan smiled evilly at Datura, then looked greedily at Yi Xiaolei. This one is not bad either. She has a stubborn spirit. I like to tame this kind of unruly person. Looking at them one by one, Shangguan praised. Beautiful, so beautiful. All of them are outstanding beauties. Today, I have more than 10 beauties to enjoy. I'm blessed. Xikong Chuyu Xueshi and the others who were swept by Shangguan gaze felt as if they had goosebumps all over their bodies. They felt extremely uncomfortable, but they had no ability to resist. They couldn't even die even if they wanted to. This made them feel helpless. Shameless. Bastard. Yi Shang's father, Yi Wuyo, was suppressed to the point where he had to burn his essence blood before cursing. Shameless after a few glances? Beast after a few words? Next I'll show you what a real shameless beast is. Shangguan laughed evilly. What do you want? SSSCSS. Who are you? He's uses TSDSS. Spoil your plans? You can say that because you're going to die today. He had been humiliated by Ling Yun as soon as he had arrived in the God realm. From that moment on, Yi Shang, who had been extremely depressed, had sworn that he would not let any harm come to his family. If he had not coincidentally returned today, the consequences would have been unimaginable. His anger had already exploded uncontrollably. Night Sorrow didn't want to waste his breath on this beast. He used the void steps to teleport in front of his people, condensed his vital energy, and attacked with the blood Qilin evil-slaying spear. You're overestimating yourself. Since you're looking for death, I'll deal with you first before taking care of these beauties. Shangguan didn't panic in the face of Night Sorrow's attack. He took out a long halberd from his spatial artifact and faced it head-on. As a mid-level feather god, Shangguan had absolute confidence in himself. He didn't believe that this low-level feather god could compete with him in terms of strength. You're looking for death. Do you think you're fit to call yourself Lord? Night Sorrow said disdainfully when he saw that Shangguan chose to meet force with force. He didn't know any god-tier secret arts, but he had 2 forbidden attributes. His body had cultivated the 10,000 Tao Tome, and he had the power of merit to protect him. His strength and body were far stronger than ordinary low-level feather gods. Boom. Both of them chose to use their strength to attack. After the collision, Shangguan body flew backward rapidly, and was directly blasted out of the valley. How can this be? His strength is so terrifying. Is he still a low-level feather god? Shangguan was shocked as he flew backward. He didn't expect the difference in strength between them to be so great. This person's strength is extraordinary. I'm afraid he's on par with some high-level feather gods. I have to use my treasure to fight or use my secret arts. You want to use your secret arts? It's too late. Night Sorrow had fought all the way from Bamboo Garden Village to the Divine World. He had rich combat experience and wouldn't give his opponent any chance. He used the blood-chilling evil-slaying spear's attributes to attack. Space-time destruction / immeasurable clock. Protect. Shangguan Lin, who wanted to counterattack, could only summon a defensive treasure to defend himself. Shangguan Lin, who was passively defending, didn't expect that space-time destruction / was just a feint. When he used the immeasurable clock to protect himself with 2 thunder tribulation feathers, Night Sorrow sneered and used the Samsara halberd to launch a fatal attack. I'll let you feel the power of the forbidden reincarnation. The Samsara halberd, which had been upgraded to the 10 thunder tribulation feathers, could directly attack the divine soul. Without foundation and support in the divine world, Night Sorrow felt that he couldn't give his opponent any chance to ask for help in the battle. Without hesitation, he directly used his strongest trump card and shattered Shangguan Lin's divine soul in one move. This is the power of the forbidden attribute. The power of reincarnation. Shangguan Lin realized that he had offended a ruthless person. This was no ordinary low-level feather god at all. With his divine soul shattered and his life in danger, Shangguan Lin's face was ashen. He begged for mercy. Sir, please spare my life. I'm the cousin of Shangguan Yun, the city lord of Haibei City. I'll compensate you for today's offense. Any amount of divine crystals will do. You want compensation? That's easy. Just destroy your divine soul. Night Sorrow would never show mercy to those who touched his reverse scale. He used the Samsara halberd again. Before he died, Shangguan Lin roared. The Shangguan family will not let you go. You can't escape the Shangguan family's investigation if you kill me. You bullied my family. Even if the Divine King or the Juggernaut himself came, I, Night Sorrow, would still kill you. You're just a mid-level feather god in my eyes. As soon as Night Sorrow finished speaking, the energy from the Samsara halberd blasted Shangguan Lin, who had lost his protective chi, into pieces. A spatial artifact? Night Sorrow discovered that Shangguan Lin's spatial artifact was left behind. After checking, he found that Shangguan Lin was quite rich. Not to mention the immeasurable bell and the evil dragon halberd, there were no less than 50,000 divine crystals overflowing with spiritual energy. There were also various elixirs and refining materials piled up, including 3 divine-grade teleportation crystals. There were no divine-grade cultivation techniques or elixir recipes, but there were 5 or 6 bottles of divine-grade elixirs. However, to Night Sorrow's surprise, there was a divine-grade array diagram. There was also a black diamond-shaped token made of an unknown material. Night Sorrow did not figure out the use of this token, so he kept it in his spatial artifact. I really have to thank you, Night Sorrow thought. Chapter 2369. Bastard. Little brother Lin actually died in my territory. How am I going to explain this to my family? While Night Sorrow was searching for Shangguan Lin's spatial treasure, a divine soul lamp in the seaside city lord's mansion was extinguished. The city lord Shangguan Yun's face turned cold as he instructed a black shadow, phantom shadow. Take brother Lin's divine soul lamp and go find the murderer. Yes. Phantom took the divine soul lamp and disappeared like a ghost. Using the divine soul lamp to track down the location of a disciple who had just died was a common method in the realm of the gods. A few days later, Phantom, who was an upper-level feather god, rushed to the scene of the incident with 3 middle-level feather gods, but the valley was empty. A taboo attribute appeared. The murderer is most likely a feather god cultivator with a taboo attribute. They didn't find anyone, but Phantom managed to find some clues from the remnants of the battle. When Phantom returned to the seaside city lord's mansion to report, Night Sorrow was drinking tea with his wife and children on an uninhabited island. For safety reasons, he left the valley with his family not long after killing Shangguan Lin. This island was more than 1,000,000 kilometers away from Seaside City. There were only a few low-level monsters on the island, so it was very suitable for cultivation. Night Sorrow used the formation map he had just obtained to set up a formation that would be difficult for feather gods to break through with brute force. He also used 2 divine-level crystals to set up a teleportation formation. If someone tried to break through the formation again, his family could use the crystals to activate the teleportation formation and leave. I came back this time to distribute cultivation resources to everyone. I know it's hard for everyone to live like this. However, the realm of the gods is too complicated. I don't want anything to happen to any of you." Night Sorrow sat on a bamboo chair and took a sip of tea. He continued, "Whoever breaks through to the feather god realm first can go out and explore. Otherwise, they won't be able to protect themselves." "Husband, what's the situation in the realm of the gods? Are there many experts?" Datura asked. She had suffered a lot recently, so she wanted to become stronger quickly. As for Shangguan Lin, she didn't want to talk about it at all. "The realm of the gods is very big. We're currently in a barren land near the sea. But in one of the cities, there are hundreds and thousands of deity realm cultivators." After explaining the general situation of the god world and the cultivation levels, Night Sorrow said, "The other thing is that I am preparing to go to a god monarch's cave to look for opportunities. It was unknown how many years he would be gone. But before I leave, I will bring back some cultivation resources. I hope you can all become gods as soon as possible." After the recent setbacks, everyone's determination to become a god has reached its peak. In addition, the cultivation environment in the realm of the gods is so good, and there's also the acceleration of time. I believe that it won't be long before the Yi clan's first divinity expert other than you will be born. Sikong Chiyu, who was brewing tea, said. She really hoped that someone in the Yi clan would stand up and help Night Sorrow. "Father, Xiaoke and I should be able to become deities very soon," Yi Lingxi said confidently. Yi Lingxi and Yi Xiaoke were born later than the rest of the Yi clan. Their talent was outstanding, and their cultivation speed was one of the best among the Yi clan. Good. I really hope that you can be independent soon. Holing up on a deserted island is not something the Yi clan should do. Sooner or later, we will establish our own power, kill that Ling Yun, and bring back Aunt Fei. Wu Lingfei's capture had always been a knot in Night Sorrow's heart. "Father, we will not disappoint you," Night Sorrow's children, daughter-in-law, and son-in-law said in unison. You all have some tea. I will go to the spatial artifact to visit grandfather and the rest." Entering the spatial artifact left for everyone, Night Sorrow saw that Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Xiaoluo's faces were very pale. They should be suffering from bone-piercing pain. Night Sorrow asked with heartache, "How do you feel?" "Not bad. In the spatial artifact, I should be able to last for another 30 to 40 years. Lin Piaomiao said honestly. "What? Only 30 to 40 years?" Hearing this, Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat. 30 to 40 years was a short time in the world of cultivators. Perhaps this time, when he went to the cave abode to search for opportunities, it would be more than 30 to 40 years. Night Sorrow, who was originally looking forward to finding a suitable pill formula or treasure in the cave abode, immediately changed his mind. He secretly thought that even if he went to the god Jin Yuan's cave abode, he had to find a pill or treasure that could heal the three of them, no matter the price. "Grandfather, Sister Xian or Xiaoluo, don't worry. I will definitely heal you." Unable to bear to stay any longer, Night Sorrow left the spatial artifact after a few words. After having a simple meal with his family members, Night Sorrow used the remaining materials to refine a divine artifact. Time was tight, so Night Sorrow rushed back to High Bay City with the newly refined Five Thunder Tribulations defensive robe. "Big brother Night Sorrow, you are finally back. You were gone and we couldn't complete the orders we accepted. The customers have come to cause trouble several times." As soon as Night Sorrow returned to the stall, Neopatian said with a worried face. "It's okay. I will start refining now. Why isn't brother Xianjizi here?" After receiving the orders and the spatial artifact filled with materials from Neopatian, Night Sorrow asked as he sorted out the materials for refining pills and equipment. Before the old liar left, he said that a big shot asked him to do a divination, but he didn't say who it was. In this High Bay City, there are only 5 god-level big shots. It should be one of them, Neopatian guessed. There were a total of 5 god-level powerhouses in High Bay City. City Lord Shangguan Yun, Mercenary Guild President Long Xian, Wuji Pavilion Master Morong Yuan, Umbra Hall Master Ling Xiaoye, and Rogue Cultivator Mingi. Xianjizi was indeed asked by one of them. At this time he was helping Shangguan Yin divine the murderer of Shangguan Lin in the City Lord Mansion. Damn it. What is this? Originally, Xianjizi was quite excited when City Lord Shangguan Yin asked him to do a divination. However, he used the compass to calculate that the person who killed Shangguan Lin had great karma with the compass. The only person who has great karma with my compass is Brother Night Sorrow. It seems that Shangguan Lin was killed by him. What should I do? Xianjizi, who kept making divination gestures, was quite conflicted. He had been in High Bay City for tens of thousands of years, but he didn't make a name for himself. Now he had just made friends with Night Sorrow, who had a bright future, and he encountered such a thing. Xianjizi, did you divine something? Although Xianjizi looked calm, City Lord Shangguan Yin felt that his vitality was a little unstable. It seems. Xianjizi pinched his fingers, frowning as he pondered. In his heart he was thinking about how to choose. Shangguan Yin had promised that if he could divine the murderer's identity, he would reward him with a Green Dragon Origin Building Pill. The Green Dragon Origin Building Pill could directly raise a Feather God's level by 1 grade. Xianjizi was a middle-level Feather God. After taking it, he could be promoted to an upper-level Feather God, saving him countless years of cultivation. How does it seem? Shangguan Yin asked. He had been in a high position for a long time, and his strength was outstanding. A simple sentence from him could intimidate people. Chapter 2370. What's going on? Hurry up and say it. Don't stutter. Shangguan Yin questioned sullenly. The aura of a superior was even more oppressive. It scared Xianjizi until his body trembled somewhat. He hurriedly said, Yes, I can't divine it. After struggling in his heart for a long time, Xianjizi finally decided to stand on Night Sorrow's side. He thought to himself, I'm really standing on the edge of a cliff this time. If this matter is exposed one day, the consequences will be unimaginable. City Lord Shangguan Yin's strength was unfathomable. It was completely not what a Feather God realm could contend with. It brought him tremendous pressure. Are you deliberately toying with me? Xianjizi looked like he was deliberately mystifying. In the end, he did not say the reason. Shangguan Yin raised his eyebrows and was about to fly into a rage. City Lord, calm your anger. It's just that I didn't divine it, afraid that my lord would blame me. I don't know how to say it. Xianjizi was frightened until he hurriedly bowed. This Shangguan Yin was an existence that could kill him with one slap. Get lost. Shangguan Yin snorted coldly and ordered Xianjizi to retreat. He said to the void behind him, Pay attention to the movements of all cultivators in the city. If anyone with taboo attributes appears, immediately report to me. Yes. A response came from the void. Sigh. On the way back to the Sea Sky Grand Bazaar, Xianjizi sighed. Returning to the front of the stall, seeing Night Sorrow refining artifacts, Xianjizi was a little relieved. He thought to himself, younger brother Night Sorrow is like nothing happened. Why should I be afraid of wolves and tigers? After this incident, Xianjizi admired Night Sorrow's calm and composed temperament even more. He felt that he was bound to achieve something. To be able to befriend such a person before he rose up was a blessing. But the time they knew was too short. Xianjizi naturally would not completely trust Night Sorrow. It was impossible to mention Shangguan Lin's matter, afraid of being silenced. Returning to the stall, Xianjizi said, Younger brother Night Sorrow, a few days ago when you weren't around, a female cultivator came to look for you. Said that there was a formation to be broken. You weren't around, so she left the address. Said that when you come back, you can directly go to the residence. The reward will be very generous. Oh, could it be a romantic encounter? Hearing this, Neopatian laughed. I can't go for now. With so many orders for pills and equipment, how could he have the time to go out? A man can't stand without trust. You have to complete the order before you think about anything else. With nearly a year's worth of experience in the God realm, Night Sorrow's artificing skills had become much more proficient and efficient. As he spoke, a Feather God grade spear was produced. Good gun. Grandmaster Yi forged 3 lightning tribulation feathers, and the quality is so high. When the spear came out, a black-robed female cultivator, who had been waiting for a long time, cupped her fists to Night Sorrow and thanked him. Then, she took the spear and prepared to transcend the tribulation. This black-robed female cultivator's strength was not very strong, but her aura was not weak at all. She held the long spear and fought against the heavenly tribulation without flinching at all. She was quite a woman who was not inferior to men. No. At this moment, Night Sorrow spoke up to stop her. Miss, please don't be anxious. Judging from your aura, you should have just broken through to the lower-level feather god realm. If you recklessly transcend the tribulation with the long spear, I'm afraid you won't be able to withstand 3 lightning tribulations. Night Sorrow's eyes were outstanding. He knew that this female cultivator was not very strong and judged that it would be difficult for her to transcend the lightning tribulations. If she forcefully transcended the lightning tribulations, she would probably end up dead. Thank you for your reminder, Grandmaster Yi. However, Ji Hong's family's divine vein has been seized, and her parents are being held hostage. Her life is at stake. Although that traitor is also a lower-level feather god like Ji Hong, he is much stronger. Ji Hong has to rely on these 3 lightning tribulation feathers to be able to fight. So the lightning tribulations must be transcended. Ji Hong explained and prepared to soar into the sky. Wait. Ji Hong. You are eager to save people and your filial piety is commendable. But if you forcefully transcend the tribulation, you will be like a moth flying into a flame. Ji Hong's experience reminded Night Sorrow of Wu Lingfei. He immediately felt pity for her, and handed over the 5 lightning tribulations defensive robe that he had refined on the island, saying, This is a god-level defensive robe with 5 lightning tribulation feathers. It can help you block part of the lightning tribulations. Put it on. This robe was prepared by Night Sorrow for the trip to the Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave residence. It fused with the Void attribute, and was called the Void Robe. When Ji Hong put it on, it could block most of the lightning tribulations. Thank you so much, Master Knight. Ji Hong is extremely grateful. If I can save my parents, I will definitely return to serve Master Knight. Ji Hong, who received the Void Robe, understood the value of the god-level defensive robe with 5 lightning tribulation feathers. She immediately knelt down to thank Yi Shiwen. Night Sorrow, who had guessed this, stopped Ji Hong, who was already half kneeling, and said, I am only helping you because I need to follow my Tao heart. There is no need to repay me. Quickly transcend the tribulation, and save your parents. Yes. Ji Hong was eager to save her parents. She knew that now was not the time to be polite. She responded and soared into the sky with her spear, facing the lightning tribulation. Even with the Void Robe's help, Ji Hong's lightning tribulation was still frightening. Her entire body was almost shattered. Fortunately, she managed to transcend the lightning tribulation safely. Master Knight, thank you. Ji Hong will never forget you. After transcending the lightning tribulation, Ji Hong immediately returned the Void Robe. She then swallowed a few pills that emitted dense mist and stumbled out of the crowd. What a strange woman. Night Sorrow's original intention was to give the Void Robe to Ji Hong for revenge. However, Ji Hong returned it before leaving. He smiled slightly. Brother Night Sorrow, you are truly a compassionate philanthropist. Xian Jizi, who had witnessed everything, said. He transmitted his voice. But as the saying goes, don't show off your wealth. Now everyone in the market knows that you have a defensive robe with 5 lightning tribulation feathers. Who knows, some people might have other ideas. I understand that a man's wealth is his own ruin. However, Night Sorrow's cultivation is to have a clear Tao heart. If Ji Hong dies because of the spear I refined, my Tao heart will be unstable if I don't save her despite having the ability to do so. As for trouble, I'll just deal with it as it comes. Night Sorrow smiled indifferently. Although Lin Yun said those words casually, they touched Xian Jizi's heart. He judged that Night Sorrow was definitely not a sinister and cunning person. He transmitted his voice. Brother Night Sorrow, I won't hide it from you. I'm going to the City Lord's manor today to help him divine who killed Shangguan Lin. Then, he explained in detail how the City Lord, Shangguan Yun, sought him out for a divination. Thank you for the reminder. Xian Jizi's words shocked Night Sorrow. If Shangguan Yun divined that he was the one who killed Shangguan Lin, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the next session, no one could divine Night Sorrow's situation, which made him neglect this path. In fact, Night Sorrow had a taboo attribute. Only cultivators with a much higher cultivation than him could divine his situation. For example, Shangguan Yin had found more than 10 divine feather diviners to divine Shangguan Lin's matter, but none of them could divine anything. Xian Jizi had been able to divine some clues because his compass Dharma artifact had been refined by Yi Shang. Chapter 2371. There were many onlookers in the market, and most of them were discussing what had just happened, especially Night Sorrow's 5 Tribulation Lightning Feather God magic robe. A magic robe of this level was not something an ordinary rogue cultivator could possess, and many people were envious of it. Situlai's words were like a loud bell, intimidating everyone, telling them that this was the person High God Styx wanted to meet. Thank you, Brother Situ, for helping Night Sorrow out. Night Sorrow knew that Situlai was trying to get on his good side, so he thanked him and said, "Let me pack up a bit, and then we'll leave." Night Sorrow sorted out the materials for refining pills and tools, and said a few words to Xianjizi and Neopatian before following Situlai to meet one of the strongest experts in High Bay City, High God Styx. The mansion of a God Realm expert is indeed impressive. Styx was a rogue cultivator, but he had also formed his own force. His mansion was located in the northwest corner of High Bay City, and it occupied a large area, 100 times larger than the island Night Sorrow had arranged for his clansmen. There were many buildings in it, and it was like a city of its own. Master Night Sorrow, please wait for a moment, I'll go and inform him. After entering the mansion, Situlai and Night Sorrow exchanged pleasantries, and then prepared to inform Styx. There were some areas in the mansion that no one was allowed to enter without Styx's permission. At this time, a dignified and loud voice came from the depths of the mansion. "Situlai, bring him to the meeting room." "Yes." Hearing Mingi's summons, Situlai cupped his hands and bowed towards the distance. He made an inviting gesture and said, "Grandmaster Yi Shang, let's go. I wonder what level High God this Styx is, but he is indeed much stronger than the Feather God." Night Sorrow replied and walked forward, but in his heart, he was praising this High God Styx. It seemed like a simple call, but it was actually a display of strength. According to Night Sorrow's judgment, he was far from being Styx's opponent, and it was unknown if he could even escape with his life. He was secretly on guard. After all, he had to be wary of others. "You are Master Night Sorrow, who is proficient in alchemy, artifact forging, and array formations?" Night Sorrow followed Situlai into a majestic hall. Sitting in the center of the hall, Mingi asked with narrowed eyes. 16 cultivators of the Divine Feather Realm sat on both sides of the Nether River. Only one of them was a mid-level Divine Feather, while the rest were all high-level Divine Feather. In addition to these people, there was also a thin upper-level Feather God standing behind Mingi. He was Mingzi Qingming, Mingi's advisor. High God of the River Styx. Night Sorrow was indeed proficient in alchemy, artifact forging, and array formations, but he was not proficient in any of them. "I don't deserve the title of master," Mingi sat and asked, but he didn't give them a seat. There was a kind of arrogance in him. Night Sorrow was a little unhappy. He was invited here, not volunteered to join anyone. "Why are you putting on airs in front of me?" He stood where he was and replied in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. "He didn't do anything." "How dare you? How dare you be so arrogant when Lord Mingi asks you a question? Who gave you the guts? Do you even know etiquette?" A cultivator in a yellow robe sitting in the seat immediately slammed the table and stood up. He was called Wenrun Hao, an upper-level Divine Feather. He was one of the top 10 generals under Mingi. For a long time, cultivators of the Divine Feather Realm would naturally show respect and humility when they saw Mingi. Night Sorrow's attitude made him feel uncomfortable. He thought to himself, "You're just a low-level Divine Feather. What are you showing off for?" "Huh? What do you mean?" Night Sorrow replied coldly. He was like this. If people respected him, he would respect them 10 times over. Otherwise, no matter how strong you were, he wouldn't spoil you. Do you know that you have to be respectful when facing the strong? You didn't even greet the strong when they asked you a question. Are you provoking Lord Mingi? Wenren said angrily. Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "Sorry. I respect the heavens and the earth, but I also respect the strong. But when others ask questions, I don't have the habit of bowing to answer. This is also why I became a wandering cultivator." Night Sorrow made his attitude clear when he said that. "I'm not anyone's subordinate. Don't talk nonsense with me. I don't know what's good for me. Please allow Wenren to fight with you." Wenren had a fiery temper. "Nonsense. You're a guest. Wenren, are you slapping me in the face by treating your guests like this?" Mingi, who was observing Night Sorrow, scolded Wenren and asked, "Do you think I'm being rude?" As a high god, Mingi had a temperament of harmony with his body and Tao. He had a great pressure on Divine Feather Realm cultivators. Before Night Sorrow could reply, Mingi continued, "I don't think you're being rude. In the Divine Realm, the strong are always respected. My fist is bigger than yours. That's the hard truth. If you want to win my respect, you have to show the corresponding ability. With your strength as a lower feather god, it's naturally not enough." Not only Mingi, but everyone else present did not take Yishang's cultivation seriously. Yishang was happy to do so. He said, "Lord Mingi, do you want to test my alchemy, crafting and matrices?" "Night Sorrow, your refining ability has already spread in Haibei City. There's no need to test it. But if you only know how to refine, it won't be of much help to the matter of entering the Divine Lord Jinyuan's residence. You're only a lower feather god. Your battle strength won't be of much help to this matter. You still need to prove that you're qualified to be valued in Pill Dao or Array Dao." Mingi didn't continue speaking. Qingqingzi, who was standing behind him, explained. Hearing this, Night Sorrow wasn't surprised. He asked, "Then how do I prove it?" "Very simple. In the Divine Lord Jinyuan's residence or tomb, there's a kind of soul-devouring evil wind. It blows once every 3 months. This soul-devouring evil wind is very scary. You have to enter a specific area and set up a defensive array to avoid it. The array test is to set up a defensive array. If the defensive array you set up can withstand the attack of an upper feather god, you've passed the test." Qingqingzi explained, then continued. "As for Pill Dao, because the environment of the Divine Lord Jinyuan's residence is special, you have to refine a few special divine pills. If you can refine one, you've passed the test. But if the array test is passed, there's no need to proceed with Pill Dao." "When does the test begin?" Night Sorrow asked. He could easily set up a defensive array. The defensive array he set up on the island could withstand the attack of an upper feather god. "It can begin now. Everyone please follow me. My lord after you." Qingqingzi invited Mingi to go first. He led the group and followed behind. Not long after, they arrived at an even more spacious hall. At this moment, there were dozens of feather god cultivators in the hall. They were busy refining pills or setting up arrays. Why aren't there any array deciphers? Logically speaking, there would usually be many arrays set up in a residence or tomb. Breaking the arrays was a must. But Qingqingzi didn't mention it just now. There was something fishy about this. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to think more, Qingqingzi handed over a spatial Dharma artifact and said, "These are divine-level materials for setting up arrays. Master Knight, you can choose from them." Alright. After receiving the spatial Dharma artifact, Night Sorrow used his divine soul power to investigate. Chapter 2372. If I fail, I will have to compensate for the materials. Mingi was the strongest person that Night Sorrow had come into contact with recently. Not only did he want to go to the East Cave of the God Jinyuan, but he also wanted to prove his worth by asking Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Shaluo about their injuries. According to Lin Piaomiao, they only had 30 to 40 years left to live. 30 to 40 years was a long time for mortals, but it was very short for cultivators. Sometimes, one enlightenment would take tens of millions of years. Therefore Night Sorrow didn't delay. He used his divine soul to take out the materials he needed from his spatial artifact. He found a 10 feet square stone slab in the hall, and prepared to set up the god-level defensive array. Wait. If you fail, you will only have to compensate for the materials. That's too easy for you. Before Night Sorrow could do anything, Wenrenhao said, "Then what do you mean?" Night Sorrow, who was planning how to set up the array, asked unhappily. He thought to himself, "I'm not strong enough. Any random person in the realm of the gods dares to find fault with me. It's very simple. If you fail, you will have to kneel down and apologize to my lord to atone for your offense." Wenrenhao, who was still brooding over Night Sorrow's attitude, said unforgivingly, "What if I succeed?" Night Sorrow was invited. He could have rejected any of the other party's conditions. At most he could have just left. However, even Buddhas had their temper. This Wenrenhao kept causing trouble, and he didn't want to spoil him anymore. So what if he was the subordinate of the high god Mingi? You succeed? With your cultivation. How can you succeed? Do you think that the formation can be set up at will? Wenrenhao's face was filled with arrogance and disdain. Okay. Since you think I can't succeed, let's make a bet. How about we make a bet? Yishang said word by word. He knew that the other party was looking down on his cultivation, so he felt a sense of superiority. Bet. Sure. How do you want to bet? Wenrenhao, who didn't think Night Sorrow had a chance to set up the god-level defensive array, became interested when he heard the bet. The rest of the people, including Mingi, did not speak. They were just watching the show. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow said, "If I fail, I will bow 3 times and kowtow 9 times to Lord Mingi. If I succeed, you will kowtow to me and admit your mistake. Do you dare?" "Why wouldn't I? It's a pity that your bet is too small. Since it's a gamble, let's make it big." Wenrenhao, however, was not satisfied with the bet. He said provocatively, "I heard that you earned a large amount of divine-level materials in less than a year of refining weapons and pills. Do you dare to add another 100,000 divine crystals to the original bet? Good. However, you're a high-level feather god, yet you're only asking for 100,000 divine crystals. Isn't that a little too lacking in spirit?" Night Sorrow sneered and continued, "Materials from the divine realm are the most worthless. Why don't we just use divine artifacts as the stakes? Adding a divine artifact would be easy, but I've heard that you can only forge a 3-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact, while my offensive and defensive artifacts are both 4-feathered. What are you going to bet with?" Wenrenhao, who was provoked, retorted, "What do you think this is?" Night Sorrow took out a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact, the Void Robe, and said with a smile, "I don't have a 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact. However, I'm lucky to have a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact robe. As everyone knows, a divine artifact with a higher lightning tribulation is worth 10 times more. As long as you take out 10 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifacts, we'll bet." After confirming that Night Sorrow really took out a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact robe, Wenrenhao was dumbfounded. His face turned red and he couldn't say anything. All along, he had a sense of superiority. However, Night Sorrow only took out a robe, and it crushed all 3 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifacts that he had. In High Bay City, most low-level feather gods would use a 1-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact. Mid-level feather gods would use 2 or 3-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifacts. High-level feather gods would use 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifacts and 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifacts. Only feather gods with a strong background could have a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact. As for 6-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifacts, it was even rarer. Wenrenhao didn't expect Night Sorrow, a low-level feather god, to take out a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifact. After a while he said loudly, "If you win, not only will my 3 4-feathered Thunder Tribulation divine artifacts belong to you, but all the divine crystals, books and materials in my spatial artifact will also belong to you." Wenrenhao's meaning was clear. If he lost, he would hand over all his possessions. "Okay, I swear to the heavens. Everyone here, please be a witness." Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled. What he lacked the most now was books. Wenrenhao, as a rogue cultivator, must have a god-level cultivation method and a god-level secret art to be able to cultivate to the level of an upper-level feather god. Fine. Wenren didn't dawdle. He raised his hand and made a heavenly oath. I, Night Sorrow, swear that if I can't complete the God-level defense array today. Night Sorrow was very confident about this bet. After making the oath without any delay, Night Sorrow glanced at Mingi and started to set up the array. At this time, Qing Mingzi, who had been silent all this time, transmitted a message to Mingi. My lord, who do you think will win this bet? Even I am a little tempted by this bet. TSK, a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine Artifact defensive robe is rare. I didn't expect Night Sorrow to have a 5-feathered Thunder Tribulation Divine Artifact as a low-level feather god. Whether it was made for him or not, it is not simple. But I think Wenren will win this bet. Mingi, who was sitting on a wooden chair, tasted the tea that the servant had just brewed. My lord, you think Night Sorrow can't withstand the suppression of this place? Qing Mingzi asked. Exactly. This place is built to imitate Jinyuan Immortal's cave dwelling. It suppresses the soul severely. Usually it doesn't matter. But when refining elixirs, forging weapons and setting up arrays, the soul suppression will become heavier and heavier. With Night Sorrow's cultivation, even if his soul power is outstanding, it will be difficult for him to succeed. Mingi said his own judgment. It turned out that this hall had such a special place. No one said these words to Night Sorrow. It was a little too much. I should be able to set it up soon. The defensive array that needed to be set up today was only 1% of the area of the defensive array on the island. Night Sorrow, who was setting up the array bit by bit, thought to himself. Setting up a defensive array that an upper-level feather god could not break with brute force was very difficult for a low-level feather god. But for Night Sorrow's soul power, it was not a problem at all. How can it be so easy? If it were so easy, how could there only be 3 people to set it up now? After Yishang made his move, Wenrenhao's face was filled with complacency as he laughed wildly. At this time, Night Sorrow suddenly felt that his soul power was suppressed. This suppression was not fatal, but he had to split a part of his soul to resist it. It was very demanding on his soul power. So this is what setting up an array here is like. Chapter 2373. Bastards. Do you think that this level of suppression can stop me from setting up the array successfully? You must be dreaming. Night Sorrow was enraged. He cursed these shameless people in his heart. At this moment he became more focused. Night Sorrow's divine soul was different from ordinary people's after he cultivated the universal Tao Tome. Later on he strengthened his divine soul. His divine soul was much stronger than ordinary cultivators. These disturbances were equivalent to fighting against the divine soul of an inferior feather god, while setting up the array. It was nothing to him. Haha, you arrogant and ignorant brat. I'd like to see what a low-level feather god like you can do. I'm looking forward to the 5 Thunder Tribulations Divine Feather God's defensive robe. Wenrenhao, who knew that there was something special about the hall, shouted with a smile. Wenrenhao had been working for Mingi for many years, and had never obtained a divine artifact with 5 Thunder Tribulations divine feathers. Today he had the chance to get one. One could imagine how happy he was. Not only are you suppressing my divine soul, but you're also harassing me with words? Wenrenhao, you're shameless. How dare you call yourself an upper feather god? But what do you think these things can do to me? Ordinary cultivators were afraid of being disturbed when they were refining elixirs or weapons. However, Night Sorrow was different. He usually refined elixirs in the noisy market, and his success rate was 100%. He was not afraid of being disturbed by words. You have some skills. But if you think that suppression is so easy, you're wrong. This hall is built to imitate the abode of the Divine Lord Jinyuan. The greater suppression is coming. Wenrenhao continued to shout when he saw that Yishang's speed of setting up the formation didn't slow down at all. He wanted to put more pressure on Yishang. Haha. If these underhanded methods had worked, then I wouldn't be the Night Sorrow I am today. Ever since Bamboo Garden Village, he had experienced countless storms, hardships, and baptisms of blood, yet he had not fallen. Naturally, Night Sorrow would not be affected by his opponent's little trick. He continued to set up the formation. Kid. It's too early for you to be happy. You're still too young. Wenrenhao said with a smile. He still looked as if victory was in his hands. The suppression of the divine soul was increasing. Had it reached the level where he needed to fight against a mid-level feather god? In other words, if he wanted to continue setting up the defensive array, he would have to have a soul that was stronger than that of a mid-level feather god. If it doesn't increase, I can fight it. Night Sorrow's soul power was far superior to that of other cultivators of the same level. His soul power was stronger than that of the average mid-level feather gods. However, even he felt immense pressure when setting up the formation under this kind of soul suppression. Haha. Was he going to die soon? Give up while it's still early. You will never succeed. Wenrenhao continued to provoke him. As an upper-level feather god, his qualities were indeed mediocre. Wenrenhao, shut your mouth. Mingyi, who couldn't stand it any longer, scolded and said to Qing Qingzi, who was beside him, "This Night Sorrow really has some ability." Night Sorrow's divine sense is truly astonishing. He's only a lower-level divine feather, but he's already stronger than an average mid-level divine feather. He truly is a genius when it comes to alchemy, refining, and setting up formations. However, his method of setting up the formation is a little too crude. I think he doesn't have a master. Qing Qingzi was proficient in the art of formations and secretly analyzed. Nurture him well. He's really a rare talent. However, he's proud and arrogant. He's not easy to control. Otherwise, I could have taken him in as a disciple, Mingyi, who was observing the situation, said. Indeed. From what I see, this Night Sorrow's personality is too unyielding. I'm afraid he'll suffer in the future, Qing Mingzi commented. Yes, with his personality, he won't be able to do well in the divine realm. Mingyi nodded in agreement. The soul suppression is still increasing. It already needs to suppress the soul power of an upper-level feather god. As time passed, Night Sorrow felt that the soul suppression was getting stronger and stronger. For an average low-level feather god, if they were suppressed by such a powerful soul, it would be extremely difficult for them to even stand up and walk, let alone set up a formation. If they weren't careful, there might even be a huge problem. Looks like I have to borrow some external help. After all, I can't lose this bet. If he lost the bet, he would have to kneel and kowtow to Mingyi? That was something that Night Sorrow definitely couldn't accept. After pondering for a while, he activated the Void Robe before reaching his limit. This was just in case. The Void Robe was a divine weapon with 5 Thunder Calamity feathers. It also had a certain level of defense against soul suppression. With this, the pressure on Night Sorrow's body instantly lessened. His movements, which were originally slightly sluggish, once again recovered to the normal speed of setting up a formation. Bastard! Even this can't suppress you. Where did you come from, monster? At this moment, even Wenrenhao, who made a bet with Night Sorrow, was a little shocked. He thought to himself, such a powerful soul power. And he's just a low-level feather god? Wasn't this a little too much nonsense? This Night Sorrow is not bad. He can actually resist the soul suppression of an upper-level feather god and set up a formation normally. Bringing him along for the trip to the Jinyuan Divine Lord's cave will definitely be useful, Mingyi thought to himself. The disciples of the Divine Lord and the Divine King are only SOSO, right? Qing Mingzi secretly praised. Night Sorrow's endurance had already far exceeded his expectations. Buzz. Suddenly, a muffled sound came from the main hall, as if some formation had been activated. Then Night Sorrow felt the soul suppression become even stronger. Has he reached the half-step upper divine realm? No wonder Wenrenhao was so determined to get it. If it were any other low-level feather god, there would be no chance of success at all. Night Sorrow thought to himself. His movements became slower and slower. Because he was too distracted in resisting the soul suppression, if he wasn't careful, his soul might even be damaged. Ha! Let's see how you're going to die from the soul suppression of a half-step upper divine realm. You're just a low-level feather god. What can you do? Wenrenhao, who knew what had just happened, was too excited. He even forgot Mingyi's warning and shouted again. This bet should end now. Everyone, including Mingyi and Qing Mingzi, thought that this bet would end with Night Sorrow's glorious defeat. After all, this was an unfair bet. How could a low-level feather god suppress the soul of a half-step upper divine realm and set up a divine defense formation at the same time? This was simply a fantasy story. Do you think this is the end? Seeing Wenren lose his composure, the others had already stood up and were ready to accept the result of the bet. Night Sorrow sneered. Looks like I have to take out some trump cards. Since all of you are sticking your faces out, I have to fight. Chapter 2374. Power of Merit. Rise. Night Sorrow, who originally wanted to keep a low profile and not use any trump cards, did not hesitate and used the power of merit to protect his body. Although his soul was strong and not inferior to the average upper-level feather god cultivator, he could not resist the soul suppression of a half-step high god, and he did not want to lose this bet. The power of merit surrounded him like a golden mist, and the impact on his soul was greatly reduced. Night Sorrow was able to continue setting up the formation. Everyone present was shocked. He can still resist it. Divine-level power of merit. This kid has so much merit. He must have done great deeds in a certain world. Mingi was not sure if there were any cultivators with divine-level power of merit in the god world. Anyway, he had never seen one before. He looked at Qing Qingzi in surprise. Sir, this Yi Chang isn't ordinary. Qing Mingzi transmitted his voice secretly. Cultivators who possess the power of virtue and have such a profound foundation are all people with great fortune. How could they be simple? Mingi replied and continued. This kind of person has a limitless future, but he cannot be subdued. We can give him some help. However, I must get the item in the tomb of the Jinyuan Divine Lord. If there is a conflict in the cave because of this, how should we deal with it? Qing Qingzi asked Mingi's attitude. That item will determine whether I can advance further. Those who block me will die, Mingi said coldly without hesitation. Qing Qingzi was stunned. Why don't we not bring him in? A person of merit has providence, and I'm afraid he will take away the opportunity. Why not? I have to bring him. With providence, this trip will be easier to succeed. As long as that item is successfully taken out, even if it is his, I can take it back. Mingi's meaning was clear. If Night Sorrow could get the item he wanted, he would kill him and take the treasure. All right. Qing Qingzi felt that this was inappropriate, but he knew Mingi's character and did not dare to persuade him. It's done. Right at this moment, Yi Sorrow suddenly shouted loudly and said, The defensive grand formation has been completed. Please test it to see if it passes. Is there even a need to ask? He's definitely not qualified. With your pathetic strength, you should be thankful that you were able to survive the suppression of a half-step high god. You want to form a formation? You're dreaming. Before the others could react, Wenren, who had a flushed face, attacked madly at the first possible moment. He couldn't afford to lose because losing meant losing everything he possessed. Without resources and divine artifacts, he couldn't even go to the Divine Lord Jinyuan's abode. Sky-burning dragon capturing hands. Wenren shouted. He condensed his divine yuan qi in his hand and executed a secret technique. Boom. An energy finger descended from the sky like an unfurled palm and heavily smashed into the defensive formation that Yi Shang had set up. Its momentum was vast and shocking. However, the defensive formation did not budge at all. It was not damaged at all. The power of this absolute art is really not small. The defensive formation was not affected at all. Night Sorrow smiled, knowing that he had succeeded. The dragon-burning hand reminded him of the sky-covering hand he had learned when he first joined the Medicine Valley. He thought to himself, could this be fate? It's not damaged at all. This is impossible. Impossible. The defensive formation that Night Sorrow had set up was not affected at all. Wenren was dumbfounded and muttered in a daze. How could he be willing to lose all his wealth? The oath to the heavenly Tao could not be violated. You won't die if you don't seek it. Looking at the dumbfounded Wenren, Night Sorrow had no sympathy. If Wenren hadn't targeted him repeatedly, he wouldn't have ended up like this. No, this doesn't count. Attacking with the power of divine artifacts doesn't count as breaking the formation with the formation. Suddenly, Wenrenhao's eyes lit up. He took out 3 heavenly tribulation divine artifacts, the heaven-punishing war hammer, and directed the power of thunder to smash heavily on the defensive barrier of the formation. How is this possible? Wenrenhao, who had attacked continuously, was completely dumbfounded. He had really tried his best, but he couldn't shake the formation at all. Master Knight, you're good. Although your method of setting up the formation is unique, this formation is definitely not something that an upper-level feather god can shake with his strength alone. Qingqingzi complimented. Knight Sorrow, who knew that his method of setting up the formation was crude and couldn't be compared to the masters of the realm of the gods, said humbly, "Actually, this formation is just a trick. Cultivators who are proficient in the realm of gods can break it easily. However, it was extremely difficult to destroy it with brute force alone. I think it would be best to use it to resist the soul-devouring evil wind in the cave." Even Mingzi, the think tank of Mingi, spoke up. Wenrenhao knew that he had really lost this time. "What about me? You are a man. You should accept your loss. Hand over all the items that we agreed on. And kowtow to Master Knight Sorrow and admit your mistake." Although Mingzi wasn't the strongest under Mingi, he was always the second in command. Yes. Wenrenhao, who knew that he couldn't deny it, looked at Knight Sorrow with hatred and said fiercely, "Take these for now. One day, I will take them back with my own hands." Then he handed over the spatial artifact and kowtowed to Knight Sorrow 3 times. As an upper-level feather god, he actually kowtowed to someone. Wenrenhao's heart was filled with hatred. His body couldn't help but tremble. "If you want to come, I will accept it." Knight Sorrow, who took the spatial artifact, used his soul power to erase Wenrenhao's imprint, and took the spatial artifact for his own use. "Wenrenhao, don't be an eyesore here. Go back to your own residence." After the farce ended, Mingi scolded Wenrenhao and said with a smile, "Master Knight Sorrow's methods are amazing. He deserves everyone's respect. Now I, Mingi, formally invite Master Knight Sorrow to join us in the cave." "Lord Mingi, what do you need Master Knight Sorrow to do?" It was a great opportunity to enter a Divine Lord-level cave. Knight Sorrow naturally wouldn't refuse, but he definitely wouldn't agree without knowing the reason. "Very simple. After Master Knight Sorrow enters the cave, cooperate with my son and daughter, Mingju and Mingyu. As for the opportunity, only the worthy will get it." Mingi said and continued, "With Master Knight Sorrow joining us, the success rate of this trip will increase greatly. My son will come out in about 3 years. In these 3 years, Master Knight Sorrow can make some preparations. Before that, if you have any requests, feel free to tell me. I will try my best to fulfill them." Son of Mingi Mingju was an upper-level feather god. When he came out of seclusion, he might reach the half-step high god level. Although Knight Sorrow had the power of merit protecting him, he was only a lower-level feather god. He wasn't worried that the thing he wanted would fall into someone else's hands. Even if it fell into someone else's hands, there was still a high god waiting for him outside the cave. "I won't hide it from High God Mingi." 3 of Knight Sorrow's family members had their dantians destroyed by High God. Now they are suffering from the pain of being corroded by god power. They probably only have 30 years left. Chapter 2375. Oh, which exalted god injured him? Mingi's expression changed. He didn't want to offend any exalted god because of Knight Sorrow. Mingi was a peak lower exalted god, and had been stuck in this realm for countless years. He could do whatever he wanted in front of feather god cultivators, but he wasn't strong among exalted gods. He had to be careful. Knight Sorrow doesn't know his name, but it's definitely not one of the exalted gods from Haibei City. There shouldn't be any karma involved. Yi Shang, who knew what Mingi was thinking, explained. He didn't mention Ling Yun's name, afraid that Mingi would be scared out of his wits. "Oh, so that's how it is." After a moment of silence, Mingi said, "Sai, I've never heard of this before. I don't know how to treat them. I'm really sorry. I heard that Master Knight Sorrow doesn't have a place to stay in Haibei City. Why don't I give you a mansion as a reward for this trip? In fact, if he wanted to help, even if he couldn't completely cure Yi Linghuan, Lin Piaomiao, and Yi Shaluo, he could at least extend their lives by 100 years. However, he was afraid of karma. All right. Thank you, exalted God Mingyi. Knight Sorrow will do his best to help the children of exalted God Jinyuan. Knight Sorrow was not a brat who had just entered the Jianghu, so he could naturally analyze Mingyi's mentality. After saying that, he prepared to leave. There were still some unfinished orders waiting for him to refine. Originally, Yishan had wanted to try refining the god tier pills that the young man had mentioned after he finished setting up the formation. However, he wasn't in the mood to do so now. After finishing these orders, Knight Sorrow would do his best to find a way to treat his family's Dantians. Master Knight Sorrow, please wait. I noticed that Wenrenhao is filled with hatred. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, I'll arrange a personal bodyguard for you. Mingyi called out an ordinary-looking short cultivator and said, in these 3 years, do your best to ensure Grandmaster Yishang's safety. If anything goes wrong, I'll cut off your head. Yes. The short cultivator bowed and replied. His name was Ming Qi, and he was one of Mingyi's subordinates. How pretentious. I'm afraid he was sent to spy on me. Wenrenhao was Mingyi's subordinate. As long as Mingyi gave the order, he would not dare to attack Knight Sorrow. Knowing what Wenrenhao meant, Knight Sorrow felt conflicted. But since he was already here, Knight Sorrow didn't say much. Then, together with Ming 7, he took the mansion contract that Mingyi had mentioned and signed a new Heavenly Dao contract. There was no reason for him not to take what he deserved. Ihi, why are the two of you packing up? Knight Sorrow asked with a smile when he saw that Xianjizi and Neopatian hadn't left their stalls yet. Oh, Knight Sorrow bro, you're back. We're just worried about your safety. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had returned, Xianjizi said happily. Mingyi's reputation in Haibei City had always been bad, so how could he not be worried? Who is this? Seeing Ming 7 beside Knight Sorrow, Neopatian asked curiously. Oh. This is Ming 7, an upper-level feather god under Mingyi's high god. He will be in charge of protecting me for the next 3 years. Knight Sorrow introduced Ming 7, then looked at Xianjizi and Neopatian. These two are my friends Xianjizi and Neopatian. An upper-level feather god? Lord Ming 7, nice to meet you. Xianjizi cupped his hands. Lord Ming 7, nice to meet you. Neopatian also greeted with a smile. The other party was an upper-level feather god expert, so the two of them were very polite. Humph. Ming Qi, who had a dark expression, snorted and muttered. Birds of a feather really flock together. What kind of cultivation-level trash are they? What did you say? Hearing this, Knight Sorrow's expression turned cold. Whatever I say, you have to accept it. Knight Sorrow, listen well. In my eyes, you are just an ant. Protecting an ant like you is a waste of this lord's time. In these 3 years, you better behave yourself. Otherwise, you will suffer some physical pain. Ming 7 was unhappy that Mingyi had arranged for him to come here, so he vented his anger on Knight Sorrow. If you are unhappy, you can talk to Mingyi. Why are you acting all high and mighty in front of me? I also told you that if you don't want to stay here, then scram. No one here welcomes you. Family and friends were what Knight Sorrow cared about the most. Ming 7's insults to Xianjizi and Neopatian didn't work. These two were the first friends he had made in the god realm, and they had good natures. Xianjizi didn't betray him in front of City Lord Shangguanyun. This was rare. Bastard. You think you can do whatever you want because you are good at setting up formations? Now, I will let you understand that an upper-level feather god's dignity is not to be offended. Ming 7, who was already angry, was ready to attack. You don't know the difference between life and death. Do you want to attack in the city for no reason? Aren't you afraid that the City Lord Mansion will kill you? Knight Sorrow laughed in disdain. He might not be able to defeat an upper-level feather god, but it shouldn't be a problem for him to escape. Moreover, Knight Sorrow didn't believe that Ming 7 would dare to attack in broad daylight. Ming 7's face was ashen and he waved his hand. Come, let's not talk about this idiot. Let's drink. Originally, Knight Sorrow wanted to complete all the orders first, and then discussed the matter of the mansion with Xianjizi and Neopatian. However, he took out a jar of wine from his spatial Dharma artifact and drank with the two of them, leaving Ming-Chi to the side. Today's matter, let's settle the score. Ming-7 snorted coldly and thought. You think you can stay in the city forever? At the latest, when we enter the Jinyuan Divine Monarch's cave, I will be able to kill you. Scram. Go wherever you want. Don't be an eyesore here. Since they had completely fallen out, Night Sorrow didn't give him any face. Ming-7, who felt that he had lost interest, left with a cold expression. Haha, good wine, refreshing. Xianjizi didn't dare to shout at Ming-7 directly, so he pretended to shout with the wine. This wine can really make one feel carefree. Neopatian also felt quite comfortable. Night Sorrow actually scolded an upper-level feather god for the two of them. This made him feel very touched. After drinking a few mouthfuls of wine, Neopotion's face suddenly lit up and he said, I think I'm about to break through. The god-destroying tribulation is coming. Oh, congratulations, congratulations. Xianjizi knew that Neopatian had been stuck at the half-step divine realm for countless years. He didn't expect that he would face the god-destroying tribulation under such circumstances. Congratulations, Brother Patian. Night Sorrow was also very happy. In the divine realm, it was indeed very difficult to survive without a divine realm cultivation. He was truly happy for Neopatian. I still have to thank Big Brother Night Sorrow for speaking your mind and allowing me to suddenly have an epiphany. Brothers, please continue drinking. I will return after I pass the god-destroying tribulation. Since the Sea Sky Bazaar was in a state of chaos, Neopatian naturally couldn't pass the god-destroying tribulation here. He also didn't have a mansion in High Bay City, so he prepared to find a secluded valley outside the city to pass the tribulation. Chapter 2376. Without the suppression of the rules of heaven, it was much easier to pass the god-destroying tribulation in the realm of the gods. After passing the god-destroying tribulation, one's strength would be relatively weaker. This was one of the reasons why Night Sorrow could fight against a mid-level feather god, when he had just entered the divine feather realm. However, passing the god-destroying tribulation in the realm of the gods was relatively easy. There was also the risk of losing one's life. Passing the tribulation alone in the valley outside the city could easily lead to special situations. For example, meeting some cultivators with evil intentions, or being seen by some powerful demonic beasts could lead to failure. Now that Night Sorrow had received a mansion from Mingi, he was prepared to let Neopatian pass the tribulation in the mansion. This was the safest way. Where can we pass the tribulation if we don't leave the city? Neopatian asked doubtfully. Like Xianjizi, he was poor. He usually stayed at the Sea and Sky Bazaar, and did not go anywhere. Mingi gave me a mansion. We are going to take it over now, Night Sorrow explained. Is there such a good thing? Hearing this, Xianjizi and Neopatian were puzzled. Don't think too much. Mingi gave me a mansion because I am worth it. Night Sorrow said. Then he said, pack up and follow me. Okay. Xianjizi and Neopatian answered at the same time. However, they sighed in their hearts. Night Sorrow was indeed not an ordinary person. It was not easy to get these things from Mingi, who had a bad reputation. The mansion that Mingi gave them was not in Mingi's mansion. It was in a quiet place in the south of the city. This place was close to the Mercenary Union, and was a certain distance away from the Sea and Sky Bazaar. Night Sorrow took 2 hours to arrive with the two of them. This is the place. We are here. According to the heavenly contract, Night Sorrow brought Xianjizi and Neopatian to a mansion that was dozens of miles wide. Night Sorrow used his divine soul to sense the mansion. He found that there were mountains and water in the mansion. The spiritual energy was rich, and there were also some demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were not of high grades. They were basically in the king realm. However, most of them were outstanding. They were either cute or handsome. As for the pavilions, they were all made of wood and had an ancient feel to them. This mansion is really not bad. Night Sorrow, who had finished his exploration, was very satisfied with this place. He took the lead and walked towards the door, This place is called South Hui Alley. I've heard that the people who live here are all ruthless people. It's very difficult to buy a mansion here with divine crystals. Xianjizi praised the mansion that would soon belong to Night Sorrow. As an old swindler who mingled in the Jianghu, Xianjizi had been mingling in Hebei City for who knows how many years, but he didn't have a mansion of his own. Night Sorrow had just arrived, and he had already obtained such a good mansion. He was envious from the bottom of his heart. We haven't even entered the door, and we can already feel such dense divine origin qi. Cultivating here should be twice the result with half the effort. Neopatian also praised. In the future, this mansion will belong to us. When we are tired from running our stalls, we will return to the mansion to eat meat and drink wine. Night Sorrow said with a smile and continued. After I take over, I will arrange a place for the two of you to stay. We're all brothers, so naturally, we'll share our blessings. That won't do. That won't do. We didn't do anything. Brother Night Sorrow, on the other hand, helped me and Patian take good care of us. This is already a great favor. How can we take your things? Xianjizi hurriedly refused. In the past, he had done all kinds of things, but when he was serious, he cared a lot about his reputation. Brother, you don't have to be so polite. In the future, we will be in the same boat, so don't be so calculative. Besides such a big mansion, I can't use it all by myself. Xianjizi refused, and Neopatian also wanted to speak. Night Sorrow hurriedly said. Who is making a racket here? Do you believe that I won't cripple you? Motherf *Ker, don't you know where you are? At this moment, the door of the mansion opened, and a lower-level divine feather realm cultivator walked out. This was a burly man with a curly beard. He looked very fierce, and his mouth was dirty. Who is it? Of course it's the owner of this place. Being scolded for no reason, Night Sorrow replied coldly. The owner of this place? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Everyone knows that this is the mansion of the high god of the river Styx. Who are you to behave so atrociously here? The bearded man said disdainfully. The divine general's mansion on the river Styx gave it to me. This is the heavenly Tao contract. Night Sorrow didn't waste any words with this person in front of him. He directly took out the heavenly Tao contract that he had drawn up. This is fake. If you know what's good for you, scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The bearded man didn't even look at them and said unreasonably. This mansion belongs to me. Why should I leave? The ones who should leave are you. At this moment, Night Sorrow saw Ming-Chi slowly walk over with a smug look on his face. Clearly, this bearded man had been arranged by him. You have to leave whether you want to or not. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. As the bearded man spoke, 3 more people arrived. One was a mid-level divine feather realm cultivator, while the other 2 were lower-level divine feather realm cultivators. This, Big Brother Night Sorrow, why don't we leave first? I feel that the god-slaying tribulation is about to arrive. Neopatian, who was about to face his tribulation, said softly. No need to leave. This mansion belongs to us. No one can stop us today. Neopotion's god-slaying tribulation was about to arrive. It was too late to find a place to undergo it now. Night Sorrow angrily took out his blood-killing vanquishing evil spear, and pointed it at the 4 cultivators blocking the entrance. I advise you to leave now. Don't interfere with my brother's tribulation. Otherwise I, Night Sorrow, will show you no mercy today. Don't lose your life because of irrelevant people fanning the flames. Night Sorrow cultivated a virtuous body and wasn't a bloodthirsty person. However, he couldn't tolerate being bullied. Bah! What a big mouth. Why don't you take a look at your own cultivation? The only mid-level divine feather realm cultivator didn't look carefully at Night Sorrow's blood-killing vanquishing evil spear, so he didn't realize that it was a divine weapon with 5 thunder tribulation feathers. That's right. We have a mid-level divine feather realm cultivator, and 3 lower-level divine feather realm cultivators. Why would we be afraid of you, a lower-level divine feather realm cultivators? The bearded man laughed. He knew that Mingi had given this mansion to Night Sorrow, but Ming-Chi had given them benefits to make things difficult for him. You bearded idiot, who are you calling an ant? Hearing this, Xianjizi, who cultivated a special secret technique to hide his strength, was so angry that his beard almost stood up. I'm talking about you, a half-step divine realm cultivator. The bearded man said with disdain. I think you're blind. You won't even know how you'll die in the future. Chapter 2377. You mother***, believe it or not, I will smash your signboard and crush your balls. The bearded man didn't see Xianjizi's true strength and continued to taunt him. You're overestimating yourself. Xianjizi cursed in his heart and sent a voice transmission to Neopatian. Xiao Niu, how long until your God-destroying tribulation comes? I estimate that they will arrive within 2 days. Neopatian replied according to his intuition. 2 days. That's enough time for me to flip out. Before Xianjizi made his move, he asked Knight Sorrow cautiously. Does this mansion really belong to you, brother? That's right. It belongs to us. The heavenly contract is still there. It can't be faked. Knight Sorrow showed the signed heavenly contract. The heavenly contract was compatible with heaven and earth. It was definitely real. Then we won't violate the city rules by attacking random people here, right? Xianjizi continued to ask. He was so cautious that it made one's hair stand on end. This bunch of people trespassed into our mansion. We can just kill them. Knight Sorrow could tell that Xianjizi wanted to attack. He knew that with his strength, dealing with the bearded man shouldn't be a problem. Furthermore, Minghe wasn't afraid of him. He was ready to go all out. Alright, you're good at refining weapons, but that doesn't mean you're good at fighting. Xiao Niu isn't strong enough. Today you'll see how I deal with them. They won't be able to take over our mansion. After communicating with Yishang once more, Xianjizi raised his fortune-telling banner and muttered a few words. Then he threw the fortune-telling banner in his hand towards the bearded man. Ha! You overestimate yourself. You're just a half-step immortal. How dare you attack your grandfather? The bearded man, who didn't expect Xianjizi to attack him, laughed and grabbed at the fortune-telling banner with his bare hands. In his opinion, since Xianjizi wasn't an immortal, his attack was no threat at all. Boom! Just as the bearded man's hand came in contact with the fortune-telling banner, a bolt of lightning shot out from the banner. This thunderbolt was in the shape of a green lightning bolt, like a green dragon formed by lightning. It struck the bearded man's hand, and then spread throughout his body. What's going on? As soon as the bearded man's hand touched the lightning, he felt that something was wrong. Before he could react, he found that his entire body was numb from the lightning, and he couldn't move at all. Let's see who will crush whose balls. Xianjizi, who had long since predicted this, cursed and shouted, Eat my door extermination palm. Ouch! Although the bearded man was a low-level feather god with an astonishingly strong body, he was unable to withstand the attack of a mid-level feather god. He was in so much pain that tears came out of his eyes. To ordinary people, the body of a lesser feather god was unshakable, but to an intermediate feather god, it was nothing. This almost caused the bearded man's Dao heart to collapse. Everyone present felt a chill in their crotch, and their faces couldn't help but twitch. Mother****, do you still dare to call me an ant? Today I'll kill you, you bastard. Xianjizi didn't stop after his successful attack. He silently recited a spell, and the 9 immortal compass with 3 lightning tribulation feathers that Knight Sorrow had helped him to refine flew out. You don't know what's good for you, you still dare to attack. The opponent's mid-level feather god shouted, and took out a long sword that glowed with cold light, which collided with the 9 immortal compass. With a loud clanging sound, the two of them ended up in a tie. I didn't expect you to be a mid-level feather god. Han Qianlu was clearly surprised. He hadn't seen through Xianjizi's cultivation level just now. That's why I said you're all blind. Let's fight another 300 rounds. Xianjizi was in high spirits after crippling a low-level feather god in a moment. This was the first time in many years that he had fought to his heart's content in Haibei City. Let's fight. I'm not afraid of you. Han Qianlu was a veteran mid-level feather god. He wasn't far from becoming an upper-level feather god, so he was very confident in himself. He shouted to the 2 people behind him, One of you, pin down Night Sorrow, and the other, deal with that half-step divine realm trash and cripple his cultivation. Yes. The two low-level feather gods behind Han Qianlu responded, and began to divide the work. Ningke, I'll pin down this low-level feather god. You go cripple that half-step divine realm ant, and then come back to help me. The short and thin cultivator looked a little like Ming Qi. He was Ming 12, Ming Qi's younger brother. He was ready to attack Night Sorrow. Although he wasn't sure how many lightning tribulations Night Sorrow's blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear had survived, he felt that its grade must be good. Night Sorrow shouldn't be easy to deal with. Brother Xianjizi is right. You're all blind. The coffin is about to hit the ground, and you still don't know it. Hateful people always had a pitiful side to them. Even if two mid-level feather gods attacked him at the same time, Night Sorrow wouldn't be afraid, let alone two low-level feather gods. Shameless boasting. I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Ming 12 felt the disdain in Night Sorrow's words. He shouted, Ningke, hurry up and cripple that half-step divine realm ant. I'll deal with him. You still have the time to care about this? I advise you to mind your own business. Night Sorrow smiled coldly. He raised the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear and attacked Ming 12's face. Space-time destruction cut. Night Sorrow directly used the skill he had evolved from the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear. This spear contained space-time attributes. It passed through time and space, and was more powerful than the death cut. Ming 12 was sent flying before he could react. Bastard! Ningke, who had wanted to deal with Neopatian, was afraid that Ming 12 would be killed, so he hurried back to help. He took out two Thunder Tribulation's divine weapons, the flowing light amber scissors, and fiercely cut at Night Sorrow. That's all you got. This time, Night Sorrow was like the bearded man from before. He directly used his bare fists to attack. You're courting death. Ningke was delighted when he saw Night Sorrow's action. Clang. There was a sound of collision. The flowing light amber scissors was sent flying by Night Sorrow's punch. His fist didn't slow down and hit Ningke's chest. There was the sound of bones breaking. Ningke was sent flying. His divine body was nothing in front of Night Sorrow. Damn it. Night Sorrow is just a low-level feather god, but he has such strength. He's probably not inferior to a mid-level feather god. I can only blame myself for underestimating him. Ming Qi, who was watching from afar, said viciously in his heart. He wanted to take revenge on Night Sorrow, but his brother was crippled. This made Ming Qi even angrier. However, Mingyi asked him to protect Night Sorrow. He didn't dare to attack openly and could only be anxious. Chapter 2378. I didn't expect Brother Xianjizi's cultivation to be so solid. You're much stronger than the average middle-level feather god. You should be able to contend with some of the weaker high-level feather gods. Night Sorrow quickly made the three low-level feather gods lose their ability to resist and stole their spatial instruments. He didn't want to kill them. He didn't think they deserved to die. As he watched the battle between Xianjizi and Han Qianlu, Night Sorrow found that although they were both middle-level feather gods, their divine essence and divine soul were not much different from high-level feather gods. This battle was infinitely close to a battle between high-level feather gods. Old faker. How dare you sneak attack me? Yi Shan was on guard against Ming Qi, afraid that he would launch a sneak attack. He was watching with great interest when Han Qianlu suddenly shouted. It turned out that Han Qianlu's eyes had been temporarily blinded by some powder, and he couldn't control his divine soul. He stood there motionless. Haha, all's fair in war. Xianjizi laughed dryly and attacked Han Qianlu's chest with a secret technique. Han Qianlu was sent flying into someone else's mansion. Ah! Brother Night Sorrow, I didn't disappoint you. I took care of that fool. Xianjizi, who had used the 1,000 poison flowers blinding powder to barely win the battle, had the appearance of a carefree expert. Still so shameless. Neopatian said disdainfully. Cheating, swindling, sneaking attacks, anything. What do you know? Everything is a skill. This is a strategy, Xianjizi said proudly. Everyone had their own fighting habits. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He smiled and said, Come, let's go into the mansion. Ming-Chi had been watching but didn't make a move. This made Night Sorrow despise him. Who threw this trash in? Get out! Before the three of them could move, they heard a shrewish voice. Then, Han Qianlu was thrown out of a mansion and smashed to the ground. Hey! Why does this voice sound familiar? Xianjizi muttered. Who's fighting here? Just as Xianjizi was about to say something, an explosive roar suddenly rang out in the sky. It turned out to be Haibei City's law enforcement team patrolling the area. When they heard the sounds of fighting, they immediately rushed over. The leader was a male cultivator wearing a white robe. He had an imposing appearance, but his face was as cold as iron. He was the first to land on the ground and asked. Reporting to Captain Morongbai, Ming-Chi saw it with his own eyes. These people acted violently in front of everyone and injured 4 of Lord Mingyi's subordinates for no reason. Ming-Chi, who was not far away, hurriedly went forward to complain. Actually, with his strength, if he had just joined the battle, it would have been hard to say what would have happened. Morongbai was one of the 5 law enforcement captains in Haibei City. He was also an expert who was half a step away from the upper god realm. Plus, he always had a cold expression on his face. When he said this, Ming-Chi was a little nervous. Is that true? Morongbai's face darkened as he looked at Night Sorrow and the others. Of course not. These 4 people broke into the vicinity of my mansion for no reason. My friends and I attacked them out of self-defense. Night Sorrow replied calmly. The consequences of attacking someone in Haibei City for no reason were very serious. Nonsense. The place where they attacked was clearly outside the mansion. Lord Morong, you can check the traces of the battle. Ming-Chi raised his voice. Is what he said true? Morongbai looked at Night Sorrow. That's true, Night Sorrow admitted. Lord Morong, the governor's rule is that if you attack someone in the city for no reason, you will be killed without mercy. Ming-Chi reminded Night Sorrow after hearing his words. Do I need you to remind me? Morongbai glared at Ming-Chi. Ming-Chi suddenly felt as if he had been drenched in ice and snow. He felt cold all over, and did not dare to say another word. What do you have to say? If you can't give a reasonable explanation, come with me to the law enforcement team. Morongbai asked Night Sorrow. My lord, please calm down. Xianjizi and Neopatian were scared out of their wits. The law enforcement team was a place where cultivators trembled in fear. I didn't ask you. Morongbai said coldly. Of course I have something to say. We attacked outside the mansion because they blocked the entrance and did not allow us to return. Night Sorrow handed over a mirror image crystal with a smile and said, This is a video recording of the entire battle. Also, this is the heavenly contract of my mansion. The heavenly contract clearly states that not only does the mansion belong to me, but the area within 100 miles of the mansion is also my private territory. This is enough to prove who is right and who is wrong. It is indeed so. After watching the video, Morongbai looked coldly at Ming-Chi and the others and ordered, This person is indiscriminately framing innocent people. Take him back and punish him according to the governor's law. The other 4 are causing trouble in the city for no reason. Take them back as well. Yes. Hearing the order, the law enforcement team immediately restrained Ming-Chi and the others. My lord, please spare my life. For the sake of Master Ming-He, please let me go this time. Ming-Chi cried and begged for mercy. He knew how cruel the law enforcement team was. If he walked around the law enforcement team, he would be skinned alive. Are you using Ming-He to threaten me? Hearing Ming-Chi's words, Morongbai's face darkened and he asked coldly. No. My lord, please don't be angry, please don't be angry. Ming-Chi was like a thief who had been caught stealing in the marketplace. Take him away. Morongbai ordered his men to take Ming-Chi away. He looked back at Night Sorrow and said, From now on we will be neighbors. Your divine weapon is not bad, but your cultivation is too weak. Neighbors? Does the law enforcement team live nearby too? Before Night Sorrow could react, Morongbai's body flashed and disappeared into the sky. This is an expert. His strength is definitely above mine. A half-step high god is indeed strong. I'm afraid I'm no match for him. Morongbai gave Night Sorrow a lot of pressure. Knight Sorrow understood that Minghe would also send a half-step high god to the cave residence of the Jinyuan Divine Lord. This was a test for him. Looks like I have to increase my strength within 3 years. Otherwise, I'll be in big trouble in the cave residence of the Jinyuan Divine Lord. After today's events, Yishang understood why Minghe's reputation wasn't good. His subordinates didn't have good characters. As the saying goes, if the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. It was obvious that Minghe was not a good person. If not for the opportunity to enter the cave residence of the Jinyuan Divine Lord, he would not want to have anything to do with such a person. The annoying fly has been chased away. Shall we go in and take a look? Xianjizi asked as Knight Sorrow was slightly stunned. Alright. From today onwards, we have a place to stay in Haibei City, Knight Sorrow said as he invited Xianjizi and Niu Patian into the mansion. Knight Sorrow did not trust Minghe's character. He dismissed all the servants in the mansion, leaving only some red-crowned cranes, koi carps and other spiritual beasts. Why don't we drink to celebrate? Knight Sorrow arranged rooms for the two of them. Niu Patian, who had his own room, was in a good mood. The god-destroying tribulation would arrive in about 2 days. He wanted to drink to his heart's content before the tribulation arrived. Alright. I'm happy today. I'll go to the Drunken Immortal restaurant to buy some dishes. Xianjizi, who had finally found a place to stay in Haibei City after so many years, was also very happy. Alright. When you come back, we'll drink until we're drunk. Knight Sorrow was also excited. After Xianjizi left, Knight Sorrow had nothing to do. He took out the blood-chilling evil-slaying spear and practiced his spear skills in the courtyard. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.